What is it given any audio yet? Are you seeing any audio from me or from? Okay. Wait. I heard her say something about The Sopranos. Sorry. Continue. What were you saying? Excuse me. Sorry. Oh. Well. He sounds disappointed by that. And other than that, how was the show, Mrs. Lincoln? Got a downright glorious forecast for us locally. For that, we turn to WBRZ meteorologist Marissa Nuzzo. Why is that every day? Like they're first up damn near every day. Not fair. Well, no, it's not fair.
Focus. Got yourself a good. I always say you chose on.
This is Morning with Brian Haldane.
I'm really quite something.
Mornings are for coffee and contemplation.
Some newsmakers,
Coffee and contemplation.
traffic and weather.
I've been sitting here for 2.5 hours and I still don't know why.
Start your day with Baton Rouge's hub for information and opinion.
Opinion.
Here is Brian Haldane.
Six oh six. Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP. Mornings with Brian Haldane, off and running. Brian here with you. Alondra producing. Happy Wednesday, everybody. Welcome aboard. Welcome in. You heard that forecast from Marissa. You heard that traffic report from Taylor. Starting off to be a great Wednesday. Let's see if we can keep that momentum going throughout at least the next 3 hours, if not the whole day. You did hear about Ian in news, and we will check in on Hurricane Ian as it's looking more and more like it's narrowing in south of Tampa. on Florida. Probably going to make landfall today. Getting to be a pretty quick storm, to say the least, moving north-northeast at about 10 miles per hour. Did I hear that right? They're seeing maximum sustained winds of, I heard CBS say 140 miles an hour. The National Weather Service is saying 155. I don't know, and Florida jokes aside, I don't know if Florida's ready for this. I mean, the good news is it's not going to maintain that for an extended period of time. The bad news is it's going to hurt when it happens. It is currently, the storm is currently, maximum sustained winds at 155 miles an hour. I apologize. I was refreshing my screen right there, and it's not moving at 10 miles an hour. It's down to 9. That's not much difference. But when you're looking at the path of this storm, there is a little piece of this that worries me, in that it's going to, once it crosses Florida, it's going to get back out over water again. National Hurricane Center, not expecting it to regain hurricane strength when it does, but it's going to cross Florida and taste a bit of the Atlantic before heading back in at around the Georgia-South Carolina state line, and then quickly dissipate as it moves up through South Carolina into North Carolina. But we will keep an eye on it, and my prayers are with Florida right now. 155 mile an hour winds. That is a bad storm. Here locally on the show, we've got Richard Sprinkle is going to be in for Franz Borghardt this morning for Legally Served. Franz needed to hang back for the day. Got a couple of different things to talk about. One of which is a civil rights law, or a lawsuit, I should say, targeting Cancer Alley and claiming discrimination. Coming to us from the Associated Press down in Reserve, Louisiana is where the date line's at. Sprawling industrial complexes line the drive east along the Mississippi River to the majority black town of Reserve. In the last 7 miles, the road passes a massive rust-colored aluminum oxide refinery, then the Avonic chemical plant, then rows of white tanks at the Marathon oil refinery. But it's the Denka chemical plant that's under scrutiny from federal officials, less than a half mile from an elementary school in Reserve. It makes synthetic rubber, emitting chloroprene, listed as a carcinogen in California, and a likely one by the Environmental Protection Agency. The lawsuit basically says that the plant down there is a civil rights violation because of the number of black people that live in Reserve. I need somebody with a legal background to make this make sense to me. That's why we have Legally Served every Wednesday. And Richard Sprinkle will be by in about 20 minutes from, less than 20 minutes from right now to talk about it. The other thing we want to talk about with Richard, and we've got more than one guest on this particular topic, is this Day of Hope. What was it called? Yeah, Day of Hope, I think it was. Yeah. It was what was supposed to be a college and job fair for high schoolers, and it's catching all kinds of blowback. You've seen the story at WBRZ. You've seen the story at The Advocate. Per the WBRZ story, in pictures and videos, it appears to be a church service, but it was actually a school-sanctioned field trip. Lines are being blurred where it comes down to the separation of church and state, but there's an added bonus to this about withholding lunch in exchange for voter registration. We'll dive into that as well. In both Legally Served, and then again at 7:15 when Patricia Wray, one of the organizers of a new website called Day of Nope, rounding up parents and concerned citizens who got a good look at what went down and were like, no, that's not how we do. We'll talk with Patricia Wray at 7:15, Congressman Garret Graves at 7:35. Last week, and it got buried in the headlines, and rightfully so, it got buried in the headlines on Thursday. Rouse's broke ground on a new store on Florida Boulevard. Oh, Alondra, can you go let Richard in? Rouse's broke ground on a new store on Florida Boulevard, Florida, at roughly the North Ardenwood intersection. It was just in the block on the downtown side of the North Ardenwood intersection. that press conference was 2 hours before the Chiefs press conference that let us know that there's 8 gangs active in Baton Rouge. So it was very easy to quickly forget about the good news of Rouse's breaking ground. Now, if you're on the north side of Florida Boulevard, you are technically North Baton Rouge. We've seen a lot of movement lately in North Baton Rouge from an economic development standpoint, and I want to get the latest. April Hawthorne from the North Baton Rouge Economic Development District is going to join us at 8:15 with an update. We got Rouse's going. What's next? And then we will wrap up the guest list at 8:40. Robyn Lott from the Baton Rouge Zoo slated to join us. We are narrowing in on Brew at the Zoo. And we are also, 3 days from October, which means Boo at the Zoo isn't too far around the corner. Also, you felt that weather waking up? It's no longer it's no longer hot out there. LSU's got an away game this weekend. I mean, this is ideal zoo weather. We'll talk with Robyn Lott before we get out of here. That plus top stories and trending, the outside in, this day in history, and a whole lot more coming your way throughout the show this morning. We're going to get you to a break in less than 60 seconds from right now. Sorry, that's on me. We're going to get you to a break in less than 60 seconds from right now. I do need to ask, hey, if you're ahead of schedule this morning, freed up a little bit of time for a great, healthy, wonderful breakfast, swing by Zeeland Street, corner of Perkins and Zeeland on the Garden District side of the Perkins Road overpass, right next door to Varsity Sports. I tell you about their lunch darn near every day. Let me tell you about their breakfast as well. Miss Stephanie was in here for Foodie Friday. I guess it was a little over a month ago, and brought us the bacon brisket biscuit, and it was to die for, and it was phenomenal. And it could be your breakfast this morning if you got yourself a little bit of free time. Great day starts with a great breakfast, fueling your body the right way to get you through your day. Swing by Zeeland Street, and of course for lunch every day. Today's Wednesday, which means fried chicken is on the menu, to be sure. Zeeland Street, been doing it right for over 30 years. Get yourself a little love for lunch today. Quick break, come back, talk to the sports next. I need LRN cuts. I'm sorry, I don't have them on here. I saw a text from Richard. I thought that said, I'm here. He said, I'm on my way. I looked at I saw Richard Sprinkle. I didn't even read the damn thing. I'm sorry. 16, 17, and 18. And possibly 19 and 20 if we have time. Hey, Christy's in. Good morning, Christy. You know what? Since my wife is watching on YouTube, let me say, with no further hesitation, that it's going to be sunny today. Don't hang on. Oh, come on, I had it. Sunny today with a high of 85. Overnight low gets down to 54 tonight. Tomorrow we might not see 80 as it's getting up to 79. There is no chance of rain, and it's going to be breezy today, like a 10 to 15 mile an hour breeze all day long, which is awesome. Beyond that, it is 62 right now. There's your personalized weather report. Boom. How about that, Christy? I don't think you pronounce the H in email. I think it's just email. Don't leave money on the table. Leave it on the dresser. Byron says, so first there was the summer of hope, then came the day of hope. Next week is the hour of cautious optimism. About right. So you're going to win because Tampa is where it's at. But I don't know that it's going to maintain that 4 status. Well, yeah. Renee says, are things working this morning? We don't say these things out loud because we don't want them to stop working. But thank you. I can hear him grumbling. Morning, Randy. What's up, man?
I'm good.
Yeah. Troy's on. What's happening, Troy? What's happening, Galen? And of course, good morning, Byron. Ian is at 155. Yeah. That level of wind can blow a pair of jorts right off. That level of wind can blow a pair of jorts right off a man. I thought I zeroed it out. Yeah. Yeah. We're going to go in reverse order, 19 to 21st. 617 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP. It is sports time. I know it's LSU Auburn week. Well aware. I know the Saints are headed to Jolly London. Well, we've got to talk basketball for about 60 seconds. Pelican coach Willie Green commented after the team's first practice on the steps that can be taken with the young group in their second season, with most of their players returning after a playoff loss to the Suns last season.
You know, it's easy to put in concepts. It's easy to put in your defense and your offense because pretty much all of the guys are coming back from last year. So we're probably a step ahead in that way, but we just have to push to continue to be better.
And better they will be. I'm so hyped for this year's Pelicans basketball season. The NBA as a whole. I mean, just seeing them cross that threshold to make the playoffs last year was nothing short of phenomenal. Now, despite the rocky start to the season, and Rocky is being generous about it, they did find a lot of success after a key trade for C.J. McCollum, and just with Herb Jones, Trey Murphy, Jose Alvarado, Grand Theft Alvarado, all like kicking in a high gear. It just, everything seemed to work. Then you get Zion Williamson back, and there's a lot of expectation going into this year. Green says he hopes he can continue that pursuit of a championship.
Last year, I felt we were a pretty resilient group. And, you know, it was fitting. The city, the things that people overcome here. This year, I just think, you know, we got to be relentless. We're still hunting. We still have a lot that we want to accomplish. And, you know, the work starts now.
Moving over to LSU, Coach Brian Kelly says preparations for this week are a little bit closer to game speed because we're talking about, that rivaled LSU Auburn matchup.
Last week, we didn't go against each other very much because the defenses don't match and the offenses certainly didn't match. This week, we'll go ones versus ones quite a bit this week because there's so much carryover, and we'll be able to keep the speed up.
Kickoff is at 6 on our sister station, Eagle 98.1. And I'm going to love it because someone's going to say, you didn't say what day. Saturday, douche. I have no idea. Yeah. He's pulling in the parking lot now. I got him. Oh. All good. We got you. I know. Yeah. And yeah, I don't know how it doesn't recharge when it crosses Florida. Like it's going to have enough to feed it.
Atlantic's never as warm as the Gulf, so.
No, it's not. All right, so
Somebody tell Taylor that wreck is not at Nicholson and Lee Drive. I just blew by there at about 50 miles an hour.
okay.
Record 18 minutes from University Club to Guarantee Studio.
I mean, that's not bad.
It's time for Legally Served with attorney Franz Borghardt.
Recess. I'd like an answer to the question, Judge. Allow it.
An open discussion about how the law applies to the headlines.
Insulting. But you insult the integrity of this court. The defendant is not guilty.
The defense is wrong.
But somebody in this courtroom is. Being charged with a crime. How about court mark? That what this is? I'm being charged with a crime?
Legally Served with Franz Borghardt.
Me, what I know and don't know, I know the law.
Creed.
Yes, in on Legally Served. Franz is out today, not to worry. In his stead, from the Longman Jack You Back law firm, attorney Richard Sprinkle, who co-hosts the Legally Unfiltered podcast with Franz, sits in every chance we can get him. Richard, good morning. How are you, man?
Good morning, Brian. Doing well. How you doing this morning?
I'm doing very well. Got a couple of different stories to talk about this morning.
Sure.
Do you care if we start with this Day of Hope story?
Oh, please.
So, per WBRZ, dozens of students, parents, and teachers have alleged everything from civil rights violations to federal law breaking during a school-sanctioned field trip, as East Baton Rouge seniors were expecting to attend a college fair but ended up at what many described as a church service with lectures about suicide and rape. According to documents, EBR schools agreed to pay 2911 Ministries $9,800 for the Day of Hope.
Mm-hmm.
Price tag for the field trip was suspiciously just under that $10,000 threshold for the school board to have to vote on it. School board vice president Dawn Shanae Collins says the event would have come under a lot more scrutiny if it had to go through them. So, backing up to this, it's a school-sanctioned field trip that parents are now alleging looked a lot more like a church service.
Right.
There were numerous complaints that have filed in. A group of parents headed up by Mary Patricia Wray, who's going to join me in the next hour.
Okay.
I started a website called Day of Nope, rounding up the complaints about this and putting together potential legal action. Is there potential legal action here?
Absolutely. Absolutely. There are ramifications for what's called a denial of equal access to education. So there's very possibly some things that occurred here that simply not okay. Bottom line.
For example,
Well, for example, anytime a school sanctioned event revolves around anything having to do with church, religion, whatever, you're alienating people, or you at least have the opportunity to alienate people who may believe differently. There are allegations that these individuals that attended this event were separated by birth gender right off the bat. That's going to be problematic. Well, for one thing, you're applying the rules differently to these two groups, and you're ignoring the fact that there are other groups that identify differently, et cetera.
So you can't apply them equally even though they're separate?
Well, I mean, we're talking about applying things equally to individuals, not equally to church and state. That's a little different.
Okay, so this is a hairy thing that I when I don't I send my kids to Catholic school because I believe in a Catholic education.
Sure.
Christy and I want our kids raised in the Catholic Church.
Absolutely.
And that's where they go.
Okay.
At the high school, they're going to be separated by gender as well. And one of them already is.
Right.
So this is foreign to me. Like prayer is very much a part of our schooling, and that's why we send our kids to Catholic school.
Right.
So having access to a ministry is bad?
Well, here's the difference. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with sending your kids to a Catholic school or any religious school that you want. The difference is y'all made that choice. You and your wife made that choice. Mm-hmm. Here, kids are being forced into something that they honestly didn't know was coming at them, number one. Their parents didn't know was coming at them, number two. And frankly, nobody signed off on. As far as the parents or students, I mean, nobody had any input whatsoever on this.
So that dollar mark that keeps it off the school board's radar.
Right.
That to me,
that's a little convenient.
If I can keep it with the religious theme, that allows the school board to Pontius Pilate this whole thing.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
yep. Little hand sanitizer these days, not soap, sanitizer.
I've got issue with that in terms of no, they don't have to sign off on it, but at the same time, though, there is $9,800 worth of negligence here.
Sure.
Just because you don't have to approve the money doesn't mean you shouldn't know what's going on.
Exactly. You should absolutely know what's going on with the children that you're charged with caring for and basically watching and having responsibility over, throughout the working hours of Monday through Friday. Yes, you should know what's going on there.
So from the school board standpoint, they're just claiming we didn't have to know because we didn't have to approve of it.
Right.
Who, and we're going to go to break here, so we'll answer this question on the way back in from break. Who is ultimately culpable here? Would it be the organizers of the field trip? Would it be the school board? Would it kick all the way up to Situn Narcisse as the superintendent of EBR schools? Or would it just fall through the cracks across the board? The school system has put out a press release since. I don't think it absolves them of anything. We can get to that on the back end as well. We're going to talk about that. I also want to talk about this civil, what was the terminology? Plants along the river being racist.
Right.
Yeah.
Cancer Alley discrimination.
Yes. We'll talk about that as well as Legally Served continues. He is attorney Richard Sprinkle in for Franz Borghardt. We do this every Wednesday. We break down our headlines from a legal perspective. Right now, though, we're going to get you caught up on CBS News, our own local news, traffic, and weather. Rolling your way on Talk 107.3 FM. You need water?
Yes. What happened as soon as I walked in the door? I'm like, oh, my God.
It is moving northeast about 10 miles per hour with 155 miles per hour winds.
157 miles an hour that may hit Cat 5. Landfall's expected south of Fort Myers this afternoon or this evening. CBS's Manuel Cortez is there.
We're getting this constant pounding rain and the winds are starting to pick up.
Ian pushing storm surge that could cause catastrophic damage from Bonita Beach to the Tampa Bay area. Correspondent David Begno there.
Key West, Florida experienced storm surge last night that actually filled streets and homes. Statewide, you've got.
I used to live down in the Keys. I was worried about Key West on this one.
Storm surge around parts of southwestern Florida could be as high as.
Yeah, Tampa's going to get beat up. What's that? Oh God.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Tampa's going to catch it. I mean, if you just look at the geography of that place, that bay is just going to scoop all the storm surge right up into it. Thank you, Brian, by the way.
Oh, you're very welcome.
So, okay. Yeah, you guys send your kids to Catholic schools. Nothing wrong with that. But let's just say a field trip was organized. You guys didn't know much about it. It was just going to happen to a mosque. Yeah. There's going to be a little upsetness.
I'm actually more upset about what we haven't talked about yet, and that's withholding lunch for voter
yeah.
registration.
That's pretty messed up. Well, we had a very famous state senator, or not state senator, senator from this state years ago who decided to take it upon herself to feed everybody pizza while they stood in line to vote. Mary Landrieu. Mary Landrieu.
Yep.
Something about pizza and voting. I don't know. What is it?
It is.
Absolutely.
It's very much against the
It's
rules.
called electioneering. If you're at the polls doing anything to influence people to vote your way.
So people get pissed all the time, but like the amount of electioneering that actually goes on.
Oh, tons.
You try renting a 15-passenger van on election day.
Yeah.
I didn't get a chance to go over and tell him.
Nicholson and Lee. I mean, I just blew through there. It's not there. Unless it's the one heading down Nicholson, like away from campus, that's in the left-hand turn lane, right there at the intersection. I saw one police car. I was like, yeah, there's nothing. Zip by it like that. There was nothing there.
This is the dumbest thing. No, something completely different. I know. Why don't they dip into the reserves of, I don't know, $250,000 or just go buy a house somewhere else? I wonder about that. It's one of those that's going to be unfortunate, but looking for blame is just, you're going to come up dry every time. There was 40 years since train derailment? What is this story? Oh, my.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, how are you going to get a civil rights violation out of
I
this?
don't know. To me, the whole thing, and I think this was where Alondra was heading, this is just a cash grab.
Of course. Listen, for lack of a better term for it, legal extortion happens every day.
Oh, no, I know. And it's infuriating. Yep. Oh, okay. Time to get a look at your forecast. Here is WBRZ meteorologist Marissa Nusso.
More clear skies are coming your way today. Temperatures will quickly climb from the 50s into the low 80s this afternoon, and another red flag warning is out for the day today. Avoid burning as fires could get out of control quickly with these weather conditions. It will be quite windy this afternoon, and there are even some wind advisories out for parishes east of Baton Rouge. Wind gusts could be up to 35 miles per hour. Clear, dry, and windy conditions will likely last through the rest of the week, so please continue to avoid any burning.
There it is. Got it. 638 Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP. Mornings with Brian Haldane rolling right along. Legally Served. We do this every Wednesday. Getting a look at your headlines from a legal perspective. Attorney Richard Sprinkle from the Longman Jackie Back Law Firm in for Franz Borghardt this morning. Richard, as we were going into break, we started talking about who the blame can actually be pointed at here, because I feel like we're in a situation where, like, everyone stands in a circle and points to their right.
Well, that happens in basically every lawsuit.
Okay,
so what in a case like this, you've got the organizers of the event, you've got the local school officials who sent the kids, you've got the school board right up to the top. Basically, everybody can share some culpability in this because, you know, we have the legal theory of respondeat superior basically means the person in charge is responsible for what their people do. Mm-hmm. So you could attach potentially liability all the way up the chain on this.
Is ignorance a defense here?
It will become a defense the farther attenuated somebody is from what actually happened. In other words, I wouldn't expect and forgive me for not knowing who this is, who the individual in charge for the entire state of public education, I wouldn't expect them to have a lot of culpability in this.
Kate Brumley.
Okay, there you go. Oh, I wouldn't expect her to have a lot of culpability, because it's so far attenuated. However, the closer you get to it, when you get all the way down to the parish level, you're going to see more culpability.
All right, so the school system put out a release yesterday. I believe this was yesterday, 27th, yes. The school system agreed to work with 2911 Academy for the purpose of providing a college and career day with supporting activities to EBR high school seniors. The event was held on September 20th. District leadership, I closed it, was unaware of any religious aspects of this event. District leadership did not approve any deviation from the planned schedule. The school system has received complaints following the event. The school system is taking these community concerns seriously and conducting appropriate follow-up. Our focus will continue to be student-centric as we review processes and work to enrich the lives of our students. Now, I don't know how you could put out this release and then does this release suggest that they were given a planned schedule of events and now it looks different? Okay, is this as simple as show me the schedule?
It could be, but and again, I'm not the investigator here. I'm not taking any sides, but I just pulled up 2911's website.
Uh-huh.
It's not hard to see what they're all about.
Right.
So if an organization is working with the schools and saying this organization is going to put on an event, I don't know. And I'm not trying to throw stones at anybody, but it wouldn't take more than a 30-second Google search to see what may be going on here.
So on 2911's website, they say they provide a mentorship program providing academic enrichment to support education curriculums. Mentorship program provides relationship building skills to build strong self-confidence and inspire positive behaviors. Mentorship program provides practical life skills, how to dress for success, how to interview, how to get employment, healthy eating for teens, applying for a driver's license, applying for a library card, how to use the library card and travel. Mentorship program 2911 mentorship program provides guidance through difficult teenage years to help youth learn independent decision-making skills. The mentorship program provides help to strive for positive social engagements with others in the community. And finally, the 2911 mentorship program provides spirituality and guidance of how to incorporate spirituality in all areas of everyday life. Does it make any difference that they replace the word religion with the word spirituality?
Not really. As a matter of fact, if you look at the mobile version of their website, spirituality comes first before all that other stuff you mentioned. And it says specifically, we believe in the Bible. Now, there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
But folks need to know what they're getting into. We were discussing during the break, what if this group weren't professing the Bible? What if they were professing a different religion, something else that people may not have any real agreement with their kids going to? I mean, what if it were Satanism? What if it were anything? Pick a religion. Insert religion here. If it's literally anything you didn't want your kids going to.
2911 Academy gets their name from Jeremiah 29:11.
Sure.
For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future. All right, so it's kind of like when you see chapter and verse in the title of the place, that should kind of tell you that not for public school.
Right. Right. I mean, that should pop off a red flag somewhere.
Right. And that's not this. And that's not to denigrate any of their work.
No, not at all.
That's the toughest part about having this conversation is they, from all reports, from all accounts, they look like they have a phenomenal ministry.
Right. And they possibly have a wonderful ministry. I got to be honest. I don't know a whole lot about it. And certainly this isn't to denigrate any of the work they do. The issue here is essentially it's a time and place problem, right? You can't mix church and state. We know that. And more importantly, now that you've mixed church and state, there's a funding problem, because undoubtedly some of the coffers at EBR schools are filled from federal pockets. And if you're moving federal funds down and now violating church and state, you're going to just open up all kinds of legal problems on the back end.
We haven't gotten to what I feel is I feel like I'm bearing the lead on this, talking about the religious aspect and not the other aspect that's been in the headlines. Per The Advocate, after standing in a long line on what was already a long, blazing hot, stressful day, Jizu Coleman and a few friends were ready to claim the meal ticket that would entitle them to a couple of slices of Domino's pizza.
Because of that healthy lunch.
That's not... Well played. But then a man she'd never met before stopped them. If you want this meal ticket, you've got to register to vote.
There's no free lunch, right?
Well, to me, this feels more egregious than the emotional and spiritual support that's offered throughout the rest of this. Blurring the lines between church and state is blurring.
Right.
This is straight up holding your lunch hostage for voter registration. Now, you got a couple different things. If you've got a 17-year-old senior, are they not allowed to eat at all?
It's a good question. That's a great question.
Because, I mean, you can't register to vote then anyway.
Can't vote, can't eat. Yeah, so I laugh, and Brian knows how sarcastic I am, and I'm sure some of our listeners do too. But yeah, this is problematic in a big, big way. If you're withholding lunch based on whether or not somebody will fill out a voter registration card, that is a huge, huge issue.
Now, this is one that I think EBR schools can probably duck and cover on a lot easier than aligning themselves with a ministry for a field trip.
I think they've already announced it was a separate vendor who was doing this, and we didn't have anything to do with that. Who knows? I wasn't there. You weren't there.
The article in The Advocate says, like almost all of the 2,100 seniors from Baton Rouge high schools who were gathered at the September 20th event dubbed the Day of Hope, the 17-year-old Coleman was not registered to vote. Well, of course not. You're not registered to vote until you're of voting age.
That's right.
So I don't know. Is this a separate lawsuit? Should everything be piled together? Or do you attack this complaint by complaint?
Well, okay, for a lot of reasons, if I were the attorney running this entire thing, and I'm not, but if I were, I would probably lump everything together, name all the defendants, and throw all the claims into one suit just to get the ball rolling.
Okay.
Because you could have multiple suits, from what I'm seeing, against multiple defendants here, but that kind of goes against, and not to get legally nerdy here, but that goes against judicial economy and efficiency, so just put it all together.
All right, that's where we're going to have to push pause for right now. If you're watching us on YouTube, the conversation will continue during the break. It's legally served as part of Mornings with Brian Haldane. Richard Sprinkle is in for attorney Franz Borkhardt, and we're continuing next.
We encourage healthy eating. Have some Domino's.
Have what?
Have some Domino's.
Yeah, that healthy.
Nothing against Domino's. I clearly eat it a lot. Take a look at me.
You need to go get that pan-seared Gulf drum from Miss Stephanie over at Zealand Street.
Oh man, that sounds
God,
good.
So good. Pineapple
Sounds
salsa
really
on
good.
top of it. And when you think salsa, you're thinking that
No.
full
I
on down
get
puree,
pineapple
but it's like
salsa.
chunky.
Yeah.
Oh, so it's got like the pineapple and the red peppers and
Uh-huh.
avocado
Uh-huh.
all in that pineapple salsa. And since it's chunky, you get like that. Instead of one blend, it's separate.
Right.
Sweet heat.
Right. That sounds good.
Oh yeah, it was ridiculous.
A buddy of mine, many years ago, I was in a restaurant, and a friend of mine made the best mango salsa. It was like so, and it was just the way you're describing it. It was huge chunks of stuff. Good. The Cancer Alley discrimination article. I've run through it twice, and I'm just not getting any meat out of this thing.
Okay.
Man. I mean, it's okay. So I get the claims, but then we're gonna come down to okay. So it's following federal money, right? It's saying anybody who gets federal money can't discriminate based on any of the protected stuff. So I'm trying to raise a Title VI claim on this.
I need to do this. Beep, bop, boop.
I mean, what is industry and commerce gonna do if people are worried about benzene emissions? Okay, well,
Right.
Admittedly, those things might be harmful, but we need that product to make other products. So I guess we have to find substitutes, maybe that aren't as harmful. I mean, I don't know. This is a mess bigger than me and you. That's for sure.
So, yeah, I have trouble with cash grabs like this because that's exactly what they are, and there's no other. If you can show, hey, I've lived here, my family's lived here for generations. This plant wasn't here when we moved here, and all of a sudden, like, they're allowed to pollute our backyard and contaminate our air. But does that make the plant culpable or the permitting process culpable?
Kind of both, but I don't know. I mean, we know why the plants are where they are. The land's cheap and it's close to the river.
In reverse order, it's the proximity of the river allows you to import and export everything you need to do the business you need to do. The land is cheap, yes, and that helps your bottom line for sure. But it's the proximity of the river that helps the bottom line on every other check mark in that balance sheet.
I'd argue it's the land is cheap first, then the proximity, because you got to have the proximity of the river. But they didn't build these places in uptown New Orleans. They built them out in the middle of.
Okay, well, then the land is available.
There you go. But I see your point.
Yeah, I mean, you're not building a chemical plant off of Decatur.
No,
because Decatur's been there too long.
Right. And you're not going to build it down at the end of Nashville because, well, that's just not going to happen.
Also true. Something floating in the bottom of my cup.
Not cool. So, like the whole Camp Lejeune water thing. I mean, I was stationed at Camp Lejeune. Now, oddly enough, I didn't get there until exactly 1 year after the cutoff of this lawsuit. So So I'm asking myself, really, did they have it all cleaned up by the time I was there? I don't know. But I mean, I'm not rushing to jump into that thing. If anything has made me long-term sick, it was other crap that I experienced in, the original Gulf War. It wasn't Camp Lejeune's water.
652 Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP. One more segment to go here on Legally Served, part of Mornings with Brian Haldane. Attorney Richard Sprinkle is in this morning. Richard, let's shift gears, talk about a different story, and it's one that I can't for the life of me wrap my head around. And we were talking during the break, if you're watching us on YouTube, Mornings with Brian Haldane on YouTube, if you're watching us on YouTube, you already know I'm left with nothing but questions here. The headline reads, let me scroll up. Civil rights law targets Cancer Alley discrimination. Sprawling industrial complexes line the drive east along the Mississippi River to the majority black town of Reserve, Louisiana. In the last 7 miles, the road passes a massive rust-colored aluminum oxide refinery, then the Evonik chemical plant, then rows of white tanks at the Marathon oil refinery. But it's the Denka chemical plant that's under scrutiny from federal officials, less than a half mile from an elementary school in Reserve. Someone think of the children. It makes a synthetic rubber emitting chloroprene listed as a carcinogen in California and a likely one by the EPA.
Mm-hmm.
So this is civil rights how?
Well, okay, it's civil rights because you're not allowed, no agency is allowed to receive federal funds and then discriminate against another group. Mm-hmm. And that is the overarching thing that gets us.
Okay, so I'm asking you to put on the hat of the attorneys that are filing the lawsuit, or the group that would be filing the lawsuit. So I'm going to respond with, which group is being discriminated against?
We're talking about apparently persons of color that live in these areas near the plant.
Okay, so if I'm a white guy that lives in Reserve, I'm on the outside looking in on this?
Well, you shouldn't be, because you're breathing the same air.
Correct.
Right.
And this is why I can't grasp the validity of this.
I don't know how to say it other than just to say it. It's a more convenient way to round up a lot more plaintiffs, in my opinion, than it would be to go after a bunch of individual plaintiffs that actually have problems from the chemicals.
Yeah,
I suppose.
So, okay, if that were the case, then you would be talking about actual people with actual problems, actual people with actual medical bills.
Sure.
Everyone that has something to show for it. Where you were mentioning during the break, the trying to draw the comparison to the Camp Lejeune water thing.
Right. With the Camp Lejeune water thing, much like the asbestos thing, you have to show you were exposed to these harmful environments and you received some sort of injuries from being exposed to these harmful environments.
There is something that you can show how much money you've had to pay in medical bills, and once you have the medical bills, you can attach whatever other, personal
lost wages, general pain and suffering, all of that other stuff.
The U.S. Department of Justice last fall opened its first ever environmental Title VI investigation into state and local officials in Alabama over chronic wastewater problems in majority black Lowndes County. Another is looking into illegal dumping in Houston. The EPA initiated its own investigation into Colorado's air program, also a first. Activists are taking notice and filing more complaints. Experts say the EPA is addressing them more quickly than in the past. So clearly this is going to be a trend.
Absolutely.
We're going to see more of these. What I'm wondering about is my initial question. If I am not African American and I am subject to the same fallout from having a plant, a dump, whatever, in my backyard, can I not turn around and sue the EPA for discriminating against me?
Well, no, but it's possible. I'm gonna have to just throw it out there. You would have a claim. Have a claim, but you might be better suited not bringing it under the flag of discrimination. You might be better suited just bringing it as an environmental tort claim.
I was left out because of my race. How is that not discrimination?
Well, you're left out of the suit. Is that your
Right.
argument? Okay, so then your claim isn't against the EPA. Your claim then would be against whoever filed the suit and left you out of it, which they left you out of it because it's a discrimination suit and you don't fall into the protected class. So round and round we go. Right.
Okay.
Sorry.
But no, but that's where it ceases to make sense to me.
Yeah, this is a short show. We'll never get to the end of
I
that
know.
one.
I know. We only got about 2.5 minutes left. There's a new Office of Environmental Justice and External Civil Rights.
Right.
The back part of this that is going to be more infuriating as we move forward, and I don't know if there's legal commentary to be had here, but let's say all the people that live in reserve, let's say the protected class that lives in reserve gets paid by this chemical company. Is there follow-up to this to where we can turn back around and say, you got to check 3 years ago, like let's walk down the path of like, they do this, they settle it, move into the future, and they still live in reserve
Right.
after collecting a check.
Right.
Is there not some way to go back and say, whoa, everything was so terrible and we had to pay you and you just continued down the path of breathing this nasty air that we create, having your life continually ruined by us even after we paid you for all the damages?
Well, I don't think if the question is, can we go back and recoup the funds or whatever, I don't think you'll ever get there. It's kind of like somebody whose car gets torn up in a hailstorm, right? The insurance company cuts you a check. You can go replace your hood or whatever, or not, pocket the money. Just don't come crying to me a year from now if you still got dents in your hood.
But that's insurance, though. Like
But it's the same principle. It's you were paid to fix a problem. You didn't fix the problem. You pocketed the cash. Well, now if the problem gets worse, it's kind of on you.
Yeah, at that point, yeah.
People are required to mitigate their own damages.
Let me re-ask it in the last 60 seconds we have. Is there a way to write something into this that prevents them from walking down this path a decade from now? Who's to say that a decade from now, 2 decades from now, they don't go back again and say, my health has only gotten worse since then, I need more?
I don't know how that could be. It could be written into a settlement. I don't know how it could be written into a judgment, but it could certainly be written into a settlement. Those are basically contracts.
Mm-hmm.
So I suppose it's possible. I do. I suppose you could change the legislation to say once you've sued on this, you can't sue again if you're living in the same place, breathing the same air.
Yeah. Yeah, even if your situation worsens down the road, like if you don't fix your hood after the hailstorm.
Right. I mean, the good news is if all of this does bring about some positive change where maybe there's a little less bad stuff pumped into the air, well, that's good for all of us.
And I'll continue that conversation on YouTube as we get the news. He is Attorney Richard Sprinkle from the Longman Jackie Back Law Firm, filling in for Attorney Franz Borghardt for Legally Served. Great stuff, man. I appreciate it.
Not a problem. Happy to be here.
We got the CBS World News Roundup coming your way, and then hour 2 of Mornings with Brian Haldane is up next on Talk 107.3 FM. All right.
Yeah, how they get it.
Make no mistake about it. Environmental justice has nothing to do with people. It has to do with using people as pawns to get to an environmental answer.
Right.
And I don't think the air is going to be any cleaner. And I don't like.
So the white people that live in reserve, like, have them.
Yes.
That's kind of
white
kind of
people,
the problem
Asians,
with this,
Hispanics, whoever that lives in reserves. Right. Right. Right.
Now,
everything in that last segment, is that the thing that triggered you most?
Yeah.
Yeah. And that was I set it up that way. I was like, because that is what should trigger you.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and to be clear, having driven through reserve plenty of times, black folks do make up the majority of everybody down there.
Yeah.
But you're right. You're absolutely right. If you're saying that only these folks can be affected and can be members of this lawsuit or this class or however they're going to work it, you're discriminating against everybody else that lives there. It's not okay. That's not okay.
Right.
Yeah. On an individual level, I completely agree with you on that.
So it is a discrimination suit.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
In reverse.
Right. I don't. And so yeah, the infuriating part is, number one, you're creating discrimination by having a protected class be used as a pawn in a game that has nothing to do with protecting their health, that has nothing to do with bettering their health, and everything to do with you have an environmental agenda that you want to push forward.
Right.
let me dig into whatever.
Yeah.
Well, okay, if they get the money, I bet you they're all going to stay there still.
That's okay. So that's where that was ultimately going.
Yeah.
They don't have the money. We're talking like, you can get probably a 2,000 square foot shotgun home for $35,000.
Yep.
Like
or less.
Yeah. I mean, a house that was built in 1910, and it is kind of run down and dilapidated, but been in the family for generations, and they don't have the money to pack up and move. And that's where my follow-up question is, okay, we're going to pay you, but you have to use that money to get out of town. Get away from this unhealthiness. And you can't stipulate that.
I haven't seen the lawsuit, or I don't even know if one's been filed yet, but if it's presented as a class action, I don't know if you guys realize how those work, but those folks, the individuals in reserve are going to end up with a couple of $1,000s each. They're not going to get tons of money.
No, I know.
Yeah, it's just the whole thing on the individual level is going to be a tempest in a teacup, which is why I made the comment, if it does bring about some kind of positive change in the long run, well, okay, cool. But that's, as far as the individuals go, trust me, nobody's going to get rich off of that. The lawyers might make some decent money.
The lawyers are going to get rich off of it.
They might make, they're not going to get rich. They'll make some decent money, but
okay. The lawyers are going to get the richest.
Yes. Oh, yes. In a case like this. See, it's the exact opposite of like personal injury cases, for example. There should never be a time, just the way the math works, there should never be a time a personal injury lawyer gets more money than their client. It just shouldn't happen. It should never happen.
But it happens every time, doesn't it?
No.
Really?
No, it shouldn't.
We don't live in the land that should and shouldn't.
No.
I mean, living in the land that does.
No, it definitely.
Home with the
Okay. Okay, I'll say it's never happened in my experience in all the PI cases I've done.
Okay.
No way.
Well, that's a good thing.
Clients definitely get more than I do out of these cases.
It's a good thing.
So the only time it wouldn't is if their medical bills were just monumental and you didn't get enough of a settlement or award to cover the medical bills and leave them with much afterwards. I mean,
what do you mean, like? I meant like the TV lawyers.
Yeah, no,
they don't get
no.
Right.
Those guys work on volume, man. Volume. Churn and burn. When the mics are off, I'll explain the.
I'm going to get a look at your forecast. Here is WBRZ meteorologist Marissa Nuzzo.
She has got a plan for you. Don't you want it to? Yeah.
Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP. Mornings with Brian Haldane rolling right along. Hour 2 coming your way right now. Busy hour this hour. So we talked about that Day of Hope with attorney Richard Sprinkle in our last segment, our Legally Served segment. Mary Patricia Wray is one of the parents heading up Day of Nope, the website where they're collecting all the complaints basically about what went down as we talked about the lines between church and state being blurred a good bit. And to me, the bigger item here is, hey, you want lunch? Yeah, you got to register to vote. Okay, I don't know that we can have that carrot on a stick that can just be pulled away at any given moment in order to get people to register to vote. And oh, by the way, how many 17-year-olds registered to vote as seniors in high school? How many 17-year-olds just filled out the card just so they can get their pizza? We'll talk about that with Mary Patricia Wray in our next segment. Also, Congressman Garret Graves stopping by for D.C. Current later on this hour. Right now, though, as we do every day, we start off the second hour of the show with top stories and trending. Let's roll.
It's fucked up. It's time for the news.
What do you hear? What do you say? Tell me what happened.
Now, top stories and trending
5, 4, 3, 2, I let one go.
on Talk 107.3 FM.
The most trusted name in news.
I want to know absolutely everything that's happened up to now.
Number 5.
The Oyo Motel is back in the news again. Not to worry, it's not about another slew of crimes, drug deaths, and the like that we've heard about so much. Per The Advocate, a Baton Rouge budget motel beset by crime and drug deaths has been sold after the past owners mounting legal troubles led a bank to seize the property. Hammond-based First Guarantee Bank filed papers last week to finalize the sale of the Oyo Motel on Meade Road to Unique Hospitality, LLC. Documents say Unique Hospitality agreed to pay $2.6 million for the 4.6-acre property near I-12 interchange with Sherwood Forest Boulevard. The Advocate says the sale marks a new chapter for a property whose previous owner became mired in debt and legal struggles as crime soared at various motels that he owned in the capital region. Less than enthusiastic about anything but, second verse, same as the first.
Number 4.
A call to 911 can be the difference between life or death. Earlier this month, dozens of emergency calls were dropped and officials blame AT&T. Quote, I can't put an apology large enough for this, but again, it was a complex issue, a representative with AT&T said to the Board of Commissioners of the East Baton Rouge Communications District on Tuesday. The representative apologizing on an issue 3 weeks ago when hundreds of 911 calls were dropped for days. Dispatchers said they would try to call the person back, but if that person was no longer able to answer, major issues would arrive. AT&T says it was a complex problem to fix. AT&T and the 911 board say they still don't know what exactly went wrong, but the board on Tuesday discussed their plans for a new phone system. The hope is that problems like dropped calls won't happen again. NGA 911 is a cloud-based solution. That cloud-based solution will mitigate any issue like we were having with this AT&T system. The AT&T system is still based off of an old copper system. Jim Verlander, director of the East Baton Rouge Parish Communications District, said. Verlander added, hopefully that'll be set up by the end of the year. Currently, all 911 lines are operating without any issues.
Number 3.
Probably should have knocked on wood for that last sentence. Tuesday afternoon was business as usual under the overpass at Perkins Road. New restaurants been popping up left and right, like Unleaded BBQ, which just opened 5 weeks ago. The neighborhood's very receptive to having something new, something fun, something fresh, and this area has been very good to us, says Philip Beard, head chef at Unleaded Barbecue. Beard says the clientele is largely made up of families, many of them who utilize the walkways and bike paths near the area, the type of crowd that DOTD plans to cater to, with new plans for upgraded lighting and green space once the I-10 widening project starts. There's the crux of the article we were finally trying to get to. The improvements in safety and accessibility will likely receive a warm welcome from the overpass area businesses. Be on the lookout for a lot of construction as a result.
Number 2.
The parking lot of this story. The parking lot of a Capital One on Segan Lane was filled with sheriff's deputies that were called when they found a suspicious package in the night drop-off box. East Baton Rouge Parish Sheriff's Office told our news partners at WBRZ they were treating the package with, quote, an abundance of caution. It can be until they could determine the contents. Follow-up, they did determine the contents. Alondra, care to guess what was in the package?
At a Capital One?
At a Capital One in the night drop-off box. It's a suspicious package. Is it a bomb? Is it a chemical weapon?
I don't know.
Is it anthrax? Remember the anthrax?
Yeah, I remember that. What is it?
What is it? A block of wood.
Number 1.
A block of wood. I understand. Like, we're allowed to make fun. They have to take it seriously. A block of wood. A man was arrested Tuesday for shooting his niece in the arm late Sunday night. According to the arrest paperwork, Kevin Wallace had been drinking all day Sunday with his wife when a fight started around 11:25 p.m. at a home in the 4800 block of Shelley Street. Documents say the couple got into the fight. Wallace grabbed a gun, ran out of the home, and then fired a shot from his car before leaving. Wallace's niece was taken to the hospital with a gunshot wound to her arm. Wallace was charged with attempted first-degree murder and illegal use of a weapon. We reported on this story initially, but didn't have any of the details. We reported on it yesterday, but didn't have any of the details. Those are the details that followed. You'll recall from yesterday, this shooting was less than 3 miles away from another shooting. So when we were reporting on those stories yesterday, we were talking about how the police believed the two shootings had nothing to do with each other. That follow-up tells you those two shootings had nothing to do with each other. Those are your top stories. Here's a look at what's trending. John Bell Edwards, traveling to London to watch the Saints play. He will meet with business leaders while he's over there. Governor John Bell Edwards will head to England today to watch the Saints play during the weekend and to meet with executives of energy and insurance companies. Quote, following his arrival Thursday morning in London, the governor will join the delegation for an afternoon of meetings with Lloyd's of London to explore a broad range of insurance-related topics. Louisiana is currently experiencing insurance issues, says the statement. Friday, the governor is scheduled to meet with energy executives, including those from Shell, to discuss expanding their clean energy investments and the conversion of their Convent oil refinery to a renewable fuel plant. Edwards will be joined by a delegation of business and state leaders. That delegation includes representatives from Louisiana Economic Development, Louisiana Offshore Terminal Authority, Port of New Orleans, Port of South Louisiana, and the Committee of 100 for Economic Development. Edwards' office says he will also meet with business leaders and British dignitaries at Tottenham Stadium on Sunday when the Saints play the Vikings. He will come back on Monday. Those are your top stories in trending. We are already running long. Quick break. When we come back, hey, I'll trade you lunch for your vote. That's next on Talk 107.3. Domino's Pizza.
There's no way I'm letting that
I
go.
would like to see the kid that said, nah, I'm good.
They're teenagers. You could talk them into climbing the Capitol building barehanded if you gave them pizza. Yeah, absolutely.
So you and I are a little bit removed from this, though. Okay. Not to go all grumpy old man, but back in my day, pizza was a big deal.
Damn right.
You would go to Pizza Hut and you would sit down at the Miss Pac-Man machine and they had a salad bar. They had a salad bar with eight kinds of breadsticks.
Yep.
Like, getting pizza was a big deal.
Oh, yeah.
Now that, like, if we go a week in our house without having pizza, I'm shocked. Anywhere, anything from I'm off the $5 Little Caesars bullshit because that's just gone now. I understand, but the pizza is ass.
I worked at a Little Caesars as a teenager in Georgia, and I've had enough Little Caesars for one lifetime.
The world has been a terrible place ever since Godfather's closed.
Oh, I agree. Godfather's Pizza. Hey, you're too young for that. You got no idea.
You don't know about dine-in Pizza Huts, and I'm like, they still have dine-in Pizza Huts.
They do not.
Where?
They still have Pizza Huts.
No, well, I'm not driving 10 hours for a pizza. 8, whatever. Right. Sorry, I used to live in New Orleans. But dine-in Pizza Huts were the bomb. Remember the ugly red cups?
Yeah,
red molded plastic.
I mean, but I also remember the Star Wars cups.
Yeah.
I also remember, and nobody else seems to remember this, the NFL cups.
Oh, yeah.
They had you could get the NFL logos of all, I believe, 28 teams, 26 teams.
Yep.
Yeah.
This was the bomb. I mean, Pizza Hut was the bomb back then.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. All right. I gotta dig in. 716, Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP. Hour 2 of Mornings with Brian Haldane rolling right along. Let's talk about the Day of Hope a little bit. We covered it from a legal perspective with attorney Richard Sprinkle earlier in the show. Now let's talk to the folks that have a bit of a problem with what went down. Mary Patricia Wray, one of the folks organizing the website Day of Nope. We welcome her to the show now. Mary, good morning. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me, Brian.
No, glad to have you on here. So I saw the story and kind of, I'll admit, I was dismissive of it at first. And then when I started digging in a little more, I'm like, there might be some meat on this bone here. And then when we got around to the voting issue, I was like, oh, no, this is it. We're in it now. So walk me through the Day of Hope and how your level of involvement has increased.
Yeah, well, I'm the parent of two small children in the East Baton Rouge Parish school system. And so, of course, although they didn't attend the event, I've had a lot of experience with this district just failing to comply with basic state and federal laws, and have felt really kind of on my own in those instances without a lot of support to help me take them on. And so when I saw just myriad, just insane, like you said, it's kind of unbelievable.
Yeah.
I just didn't want, especially the teachers and parent chaperones and kids that were affected by it, to feel how I felt in those moments. So I thought, well, we'll slap this website up. Maybe a few people will stop by. It might help their lawyers later. But instead, we raised more than $8,000 in about 36 hours to help with legal fees. And we've had just dozens and dozens of people visit the website to submit those documents and kind of tell their firsthand account and leave their contact information, so that as there's tons of different lawyers looking at this, but there's specifically a group in New Orleans that has a lot of experience with these kinds of cases. It's taking a look at it, and we're going to give their contact information to those lawyers. And we're of course, they have to reach out to the lawyers themselves. The lawyers can't reach out to them under the professional rules of conduct. So we're going to make sure that if they're interested in talking with an attorney, that they get connected so that they know how to reach out.
Well, as the organizer of the website, what was the nature of the complaints as they started to come in?
Yeah, I mean, it's all over the board. And I will tell you I know Charles Lusher has a new piece out today. A lot of parents very concerned about what happened to the personal information provided on these voter registration cards, including things like Social Security numbers, and the fact that kids felt that they had to submit this in order to get the lunch. We've heard from elected officials who have told us that they're concerned about USDA and school lunch program violations because this food, although a really great donation by the Urban League, and I think they should be applauded for sending in food and wouldn't want them to be discouraged from doing it, didn't meet what is required under the USDA regs. And of course, you can't make food for children in public schools contingent upon any particular activity. We've heard parents concerned about the religious nature of the conversations, and mostly parents concerned about the graphic violence that was reenacted, discussions about forgiving people that commit acts like rape against people without trained professionals present, without their informed consent. Of course, none of this stuff was on the permission slip that parents signed. And for me, it's really just that the district just repeatedly doesn't involve the community in planning these things. And then when they go wrong, like even simple things like changing the school start date, they seem surprised that people are upset. They seem confused that people want them to follow the law. And I think this time around, it's time for everybody to stick together and really make a statement so that we can get some changed attitudes in the administration going forward.
Okay, what would it take to make that statement and make that statement stick?
Well, we have a school board. Actually, the statement from the school board last night that came out implicated each and every one of them. They could be now personally liable in this because the district put out a statement saying that they did not do a diligent inquiry into what this event was. They didn't know what it was. And that's on behalf of every board member. So I think our board members have really got to take some responsibility. They have upcoming meetings. They can put an action item on the agenda, not just a discussion item where people get to come vent, but an action item. They could choose to do something like ask for a third-party independent investigation. They either the state DOE, the Federal Department of Education, law enforcement, and auditor even. They could choose to suspend the superintendent pending the outcome of that investigation, or they could do what I think they should do, which is after a series of really blatant disregard and neglect for our kids, they could fire the superintendent for cause. He's the reason for a lot of things that people are upset about in our school district, including things like how our teachers have been treated and a teacher shortage across the board. So they have a lot of different options, and I think ahead of an election, they better do something because we are all watching.
And yeah, we are narrowing in on election day to be sure. And if I'm looking around Baton Rouge, I'm seeing more school board signs than any other rate. Well, man, maybe the First Circuit Court of Appeals, but other than that, I'm seeing school board signs a lot out there. We're talking with Mary Patricia Wray about the Day of Hope, aka Day of Nope, is the website that she set up to help facilitate those who had an issue with that day. From that press release that you mentioned, it reads, the school system agreed to work with 2911 Academy for the purpose of providing a college and career day with supporting activities to EBR high school seniors. So supporting activities would be where the discussion and description of rape and forgiveness would come in. But the statement goes on to say, district leadership was unaware of any religious aspects of this event. District leadership did not approve any deviation from the planned schedule. I've got to ask, have they presented what the planned schedule was to know if 2911 went rogue?
That's a great question. And I'm not sure. I really can't understand the strategy behind this comment just from a public relations standpoint, because when your organization is named after a Bible verse, first of all, the idea that the district didn't realize that the nature and purpose of the organization is first and foremost religious is, I think, asking us to pretend that we're stupid. And then secondly, the idea that you didn't think they would have, if they are a religious organization, and I honestly haven't looked to see if they're a tax-exempt religious nonprofit or not, but the idea that they would have anything other than career and college-focused conversations. I don't know about you, Brian, but I didn't know that a premonition that I could be raped and should forgive my rapist in the future was part of getting ready for college, and I'm a little bit disgusted that someone else thought that.
Yeah, and how that's handled needs to be, maybe reaching out to STAR instead of reaching out to 2911. I mean, there are groups that...
We do have great organizations in Baton Rouge that could do this training with professionals present. There are groups that can talk about suicide prevention, that have training on how to do it. And I think parents just didn't consent to this when they saw this permission slip. They had no idea that this was happening. And if they had, like I've told many other people I've done interviews with, if I had a high school student and I actually knew this was happening and it was described, I don't know that I would have said no. But consent's got to be informed, and we're supposed to have care, custody, and control over our children, and over our tax dollars, for that matter. And this event just didn't represent that.
Well, so when I was talking about this with Attorney Richard Sprinkle in our Legally Served segment, I was going through their website a little bit, and honestly, the website paints a very great picture of what high school seniors need when it comes to mentorship, when it comes to what they actually teach. So the difference between what was being advertised and what was actually sold feels like two completely different things.
Yeah, and the nature of this event has done this weird sort of like political thing where, across the country, I think, and in Baton Rouge, we've seen people on the right side of the political spectrum very concerned about indoctrination in schools. Mm-hmm. And this event, I think, united a lot of people that are now concerned about indoctrination in schools that maybe were not and are not for the same reasons. And, kids have written into the website to tell us how upset they were that they tried to leave and weren't allowed. We've heard one story about a kid who was told that he had to urinate in a bottle outside after he lied to the organizer, said he needed to go inside to use the restroom because he had heard that a friend was inside distraught and wanted to go in to help him. And it was told he had to stay outside and pee in a bottle. I mean, the wackiest. This is like a bar exam question, like on steroids. I just can't even. It's so bizarre.
Talking with Mary Patricia Wray, one of the organizers of the website Day of Nope, fielding complaints about the Day of Hope and everything that resulted from it. You know what? Let me take Cito Narciso's defense here for just a second. You mentioned this program has gone on for a number of years, but COVID's got to enter the equation. Has this program happened amidst the pandemic? Could Cito Narcisse claim ignorance here, saying, y'all haven't done this under my watch yet, so this is my first go-round?
Well, claiming ignorance, the multitude of regulations and laws that were not complied with at this event isn't possible on the basis that I didn't realize an organization named for a Bible verse is a religious organization. And so the biggest problem is that our district, our school district, and God bless all of our amazing educators, we have some incredible talent in this district. And thank you for staying and not leaving if you're listening. They're out of compliance with state and federal law on so many fronts every single day. Those laws are meant to protect the least among us, to borrow a religious phrase.
Yeah.
And if they are constantly just told, well, it's okay that you're out of compliance, nothing bad's going to happen, they will keep hurting kids. They'll keep doing civil rights violations every single day, not just at large events with 2,000 kids, but every single day in every single classroom when they fail to serve the children they are required to serve. And so to me, no, that, and you know, look, I wish Dr. Narcisse luck in whatever his next venture is, but it's been 2 years and he's proven that he's not prepared or qualified, even under the minimum standards in state law, frankly, to be superintendent of the school district.
All right, got two more for you. Mary Patricia Wray is our guest. We're talking about the Day of Hope. It might be too soon to ask this question, but have we found a connection between the person who booked the field trip and 2911 Ministries?
Well, there's an agreement that's been made public, a contract between the school district and 2911, the organization, and it details the exchange of, you know, a little over $9,000 to pay for the event, and it has kind of a loosey-goosey, like, paragraph description of what the event is. And so this is some of the stuff that, yes, I hope that everything we're doing will help kids that were harmed at this event. What I really hope is our school board will ask, why are we not scrutinizing every contract that we sign? I mean, there's no actual scope of services defined. There is certainly no schedule listed on that contract.
Yeah.
There's no list of speakers. And frankly, this district signed a contract for $10,000. I don't care if it was with a religious organization or who. They had no idea what they were paying for when they decided to use this money.
Last one for you before we get you out of here, and I greatly appreciate your time this morning. And that last one is, what happens with the voter registration cards? Because as clearly there was no oversight on site about 17-year-olds versus 18-year-olds. What happens with those voter registration cards?
Well, theoretically, the organization would turn them into the Secretary of State. And again, I want to say I'm really proud of the work that the Urban League does to get young people and all people to register to vote. And I know that they had no intention of by donating this pizza, of making it a contingency to eat to turn in a voter registration card. But those should go to the Secretary of State, and anyone can cancel their voter registration once it is finalized. But I would encourage, if the parents are really concerned about this, to call the Secretary of State so they can be on the lookout for that card and take care of the destruction of it or whatever they want before the registration is entered into the system. And also consider that, you know, registering to vote is a great thing. It should be like a celebration, like a civic celebration for these kids. It should be a cool rite of passage and not something they're robbed of because of this just crazy day of trauma.
She is Mary Patricia Wray. The website is just Google Day of Nope and you will get it if your kid was a part of this. I can't thank you enough for the time. I appreciate it.
We appreciate your coverage. Talk to you soon.
Absolutely. Coming up on news at the bottom of the hour here. This 2911 Ministries, did they just randomly appear? How did the relationship start with the school system? And yeah, what's going to happen with those voter registration cards? Like that's just personal information floating around out there. Are they now on the rolls? So much more to be explored. Right now, here's news.
There will be a Deadpool 3, and Hugh Jackman will be back as Wolverine in it.
Okay.
That's the real headline.
Would it shock you to learn that I have not seen a single Deadpool?
Oh, my God.
I know. And everyone tells me it was written for me. Like, it's perfect alignment with my sense of humor and everything.
Mine, too. Oh, my God. You come over to the place. I've got them all. We've got the home theater set up now. Check it out. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. I'll watch Deadpool any day of the week.
Yeah, Christy and I were talking about that the other day when they had the housewarming not long ago. There has not been a day over the last 3 months where there's been one, and we went out. We went and stayed over at Lott Cook and went to Torchy's Tacos, which was an overrated experience.
It's not that great. It's not.
The tacos were okay.
I'd rather go to Fat Boy.
Their Paloma is a margarita. Like, it's not a Paloma.
Kids don't know the difference.
I know. And they put habanero in it.
Oh, come on.
I know. So it's like
you got to cry to drink it.
Yeah, basically. I wasn't going to take it there with Mary Patricia, but when you go and ask candidates
right,
if they will accept election results, and they say we want to see them we want to see the verification first, events like this need to come into play.
Yep.
Because now you've got 2,900 students? 2,900 voter registration cards that may or may not be valid and may or may not get lost in the wash and may or may not have mail-in ballots following them up.
They may have been filled out fraudulently by some kid that just wanted a slice of pizza.
Correct.
I mean, this is very problematic.
Every step along the way, more things have entered this equation. And we didn't even get into the bullying stuff enough.
No, but I mean, let's take this up the chain. I mean, it's not like our Secretary of State's had any election problems in the past. Lord, I'd hate to be sitting at that desk and seeing this come across.
To his credit, to their credit, the last two secretaries of state have done okay. They've done really well. Kyle and Jay have done well. But yeah, we've had issues with hair on them.
It's what I mean. It's just more issues coming across his desk he's going to have to deal with. It's terrible. To quote Charles Barkley, it's just terrible. Terrible.
Hang on, I got a Twitter response here.
Uh-oh. What'd I do now?
No. This is from Bayou Gal. She's either teacher or former teacher.
You know, and maybe it's just the lawyer in me, but I always believe if you follow the money, you find the problem. Somebody's cousin's brother's sister-in-law or something ran
$9,800 contract.
Right under the wire.
Right
under the wire.
10,000. And so the argument that's going to come back around is they should oversee every contract. Oh, so when we go get Post-it notes, we got to get your approval for toilet paper and Lysol now?
Maybe. I mean,
you've proven to us that you can't do it right.
What do you do with your kids when they get out of line and prove they can't be trusted? You lock down on them, right? I mean, so maybe you need to order Post-it notes from the school board, and the school board buys all the Post-it notes for everybody. You know, in the Marines, they have like one giant supply operation that buys everything for all the divisions, and then the divisions push it down to the regiments, and the regiments push it down to the battalions. At least that's the way it was when I was in. So you didn't get to just willy-nilly go do whatever the heck you wanted.
Yeah, because
you've proven to me you can't handle it. Yes. Oh my goodness. Talking about Zealand, huh? I'll bet.
So I had never been there before until about 6 months ago.
Yeah.
She listens to the show every day.
Oh, cool.
She says the first words out of your mouth every morning another time. And I'm like, wow, you do. Like 606. I'm like, yep, you do listen every day. But she says, she was thinking about advertising on the show. She wanted to get on Foodie Friday because she makes a hell of a brisket. Pecan smoked brisket is phenomenal. Very underrated. And went over there for lunch. She says, come by for lunch. I'll buy you lunch. And I was just floored with how good it was.
Yeah.
But more so with the atmosphere she's created, the culture she's created over there. It is the most relaxed, chill place. And you get in and out in no time.
Right.
And the food's super good. But there's this belief that you have to sacrifice quality for price, quality for time. And she covers all three.
Yeah. We used to call it the iron triangle in the restaurant business.
Mm-hmm.
Good, fast, cheap. Pick any two you want. You can't get all three.
So
I've been there. It's been a long time, and it sounds like I need to go back. But
You do.
but I've been there twice, and I never was disappointed when I went. So I'd like to see what they're doing now.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
Yep. Sounds like she's breaking the triangle. Great.
Well, I mean, if you've got a number of things on the menu that you can prepare in bulk,
sure.
You know, like something like smothered okra,
right?
You know, that can already be ready,
right?
When you've got a stack of briskets already going, you don't have to you just cut and go.
But even so, it's hard to keep that cheap. It really is hard.
Her pricing points are phenomenal.
Yep, that's good. That's very good. Well, I'm going to roll out and go get ready for a hearing. But anyway, man, I appreciate you having me in.
No, absolutely. Always.
Love doing this.
Time to get a look at today's forecast. Here is WBRZ meteorologist Marissa Nuzzo.
And I promise next time I'll set the alarm for the right time.
All good, man. We got it done.
I might be out of commission. I don't know what's going to happen. I'm getting a hip replacement deal, and I hear that that's quick in and out nowadays.
It is.
But it's going to be sometime in October, November. So I don't know. There might be a Wednesday when, Fon pulls his usual bullshit and I can't cover.
We'll get it taken care of.
All right.
Yeah, Hiller Moore was back in the next week after his.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Well, I'll see you guys later.
Thank you, Richard. .738 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP. Mornings with Brian Haldane, rolling right along. Time for DC Current. Time to check in with Congressman Garret Graves, who joins us now. Congressman Graves, welcome aboard, sir. How are you, man?
Oh, gosh, this weather, it's hard to not be doing great. This weather's been awesome. We had a shutout this weekend, so I'm doing well. I hope you are too.
No, absolutely. And yeah, the shutout this weekend was impressive, to say the least. We got a lot of ground to cover here. I want to talk permitting. I want to talk about a couple of other things in the energy sector, but I've got to start with our shrimpers. Saw a video up on your Facebook, which you went back to the props again. Kudos. You were addressing a number of concerns and hurdles that our shrimpers and fishermen have to face, and I would like you to elaborate on what you were saying the other day.
Yeah, Brian, this is something that I don't think a lot of folks fully appreciate. So Louisiana is the top producer of shrimp in the United States. This is a huge industry. And as you know, it's kind of part of our culture. And for generations, we've had shrimping families that have been providing seafood across the United States. And it's one of the reasons we have such great restaurants here, because we have fresh, available product. And one of the things that's on people's minds is probably hurricanes. And yeah, hurricanes Laura, Delta, Zeta, Ida caused profound impacts on the shrimping community, because it didn't just destroy their homes and their businesses, but the ice houses, the shrimp sheds, the places where they come and sell their shrimp. On top of it, we've seen skyrocketing prices for fuel, so it makes it more expensive for them to refuel their boats. And then lastly, and one of the most damaging, is we've watched countries like China come in and do farmed or aquacultured shrimp. They use illegal chemicals, and then they intentionally sell them back to the United States at below market prices. And I say intentionally because they are intentionally trying to conduct economic warfare against the United States and different industries, including this one, to ultimately kill these industries, and then they have it all to themselves in China.
China is among a number of them. I believe India, Ecuador, and Indonesia make that cut as well. And there's just zero oversight here. Now, if I'm not mistaken, there has recently been a move to implement options that would regulate imports. Where are we on that? Timeline?
Well, so there have been efforts to impose tariffs. Tariffs have been imposed because we've been able to prove that some of these countries are illegally dumping or subsidizing foreign shrimp against the U.S. markets. But the problem is that those tariffs, what happens is the countries end up circumventing them. They'll ship the products through other countries. And the other is that the dollars aren't getting back to the actual injured community, the shrimpers and others in Louisiana. So what we've been doing, we've been fighting to try and force inspection of these, to try to return the tariffs back to the injured industries or communities like our shrimpers in Louisiana, just to make sure that we continue to have this industry and that we're able to push back on some of China's economic warfare.
I can't help but hearing, and maybe this is just because you and I talk every week, but every argument you'd make about clean energy coming from Louisiana or clean energy coming from the U.S., where we would have oversight of it, applies to shrimp as well.
I'm sorry, I didn't follow you.
Every time we talk about importing, like energy independence, we can do it better ourselves. We can do it cleaner ourselves. We can reap the benefits and have the financial and the environmental benefits by doing it ourselves. It feels like all of those exact same arguments apply to the shrimping industry as well, saying, why are we leaving us subject to a dirtier project that we don't turn any money off of?
Yeah, absolutely. You're absolutely right. And this is thematic. This is something that we're seeing across the board, where we're getting a lower quality product because these are farmed versus the wild, the organic shrimp we have in the Gulf of Mexico. And it absolutely results in bigger impacts to the environment because they're farming, they're not treating the water, they're using illegal chemicals. And so everything about it is contrary to U.S. interest. It's contrary to the global interest, really. And you're exactly right that this is thematic. We've got to be focused on U.S. industries, U.S. sector, and how to use our own resources to benefit our economy and our people.
I mean, I would say it would take shrimp and petroleum together, but Morgan City's got a whole festival for it. So let's shift gears to talk permitting for a minute. Press release reads, U.S. Congressman Garret Graves released a statement regarding the permitting legislation being pushed by President Biden, Senator Schumer, and Joe Manchin and others, modernizing the National Environmental Policy Act. Would help fast-track Louisiana's coastal restoration projects, transportation projects, and energy infrastructure priorities. Expound upon that and where we're headed.
This whole permitting and regulatory process, it is wrapping us around the axle. We're unable to get projects done. I mean, heck, look at the, quote, new Mississippi River Bridge that's been studied now for 7 years and still hasn't even come to a conclusion. Look at all of the infrastructure needs, whether it's coastal restoration. Talk to Chip Klein about the Mid-Barataria project that they've been going through years and years of regulatory assessments on. We have got to streamline this process. We don't have a process that allows us to build the transportation solutions, the flood protection solutions, and the coastal restoration projects with the urgency that we have in Louisiana. And so Senator Manchin is right that we need reform in this process. But what he did is he set up 3 separate processes. And one of them attempts to reform the regulatory and streamline it. The second one chooses 25 projects across the country that get an even faster lane. And then at the end of the day, he effectively comes in and exempts West Virginia, this key project in West Virginia, from any of it. And my point, Brian, is that, look, if he's making reforms and it's not good enough for his project in West Virginia, it's probably not good enough for the other states, the other projects as well. And so just last night, they decided to withdraw, to pull back this project, or excuse me, this program that was going to be included in the appropriations bill. I think it was the right move. It does not solve the problem. And I'll say it again, if it's not good enough for West Virginia, it's probably not good enough for Louisiana and the rest of the country as well.
You rarely complain about something without offering an alternative. Do you have a proposal out there?
Absolutely. As a matter of fact, we have legislation we've introduced. We've got co-sponsors from all over the country, and it's called the Builder Act. And Brian, look, I've had the chance to work through this regulatory process for much of my life, building infrastructure projects, roads and bridges, levees, restoring the coast, and I've been through this. And so we have a bill that does try to put timelines in place. It does a better organizational structure. It tightens up the lawsuits that end up slowing these projects down while still ensuring that things like the environment are properly considered and respected in the process, and ensures you have a robust public participation process as well. And so I think that that's a better model. Senator Manchin did use our bill at the beginning to try and model off of, but he deviated so much it doesn't solve the problem.
We got Congressman Garret Graves for DC Current for a couple more minutes. Congressman, let's talk roads for just a second. there's going to be some upgrades to Highway 70 on the way.
Yeah, Highway 70, which if you're in kind of Pankerville area in Assumption Parish, that's right along Bayou Lafourche where Highway 70 comes in. So if you go across the Sunshine Bridge and you keep going on 70 there, it takes you into Pankerville when you cross right there at Bayou Lafourche. So there's going to be about a $13 million project from Pankerville on into Pierre Part. So those people who may be heading down to Pierre Part, go get some food at Landry's in Pierre Part, or go on down to Morgan City. There are going to be some significant upgrades, milling and resurfacing on Highway 70. It's about 12.6 miles, if I remember right, of road that's going to get some improvements along there. And this one, it just needed to be done for years and years, and finally got the contract out the door at 80% federal funds. So we're pretty excited that one's finally moving forward.
Maybe even swing by Dan Buryett's old house while you're in Pankerville. Hey, where does the money come from?
So 80% of the funds are under the highway bill, which they have something called the STP Flex program. It's a surface transportation program. It's just one that provides a little bit more flexibility on the use of funds for maintenance or preservation type activities, as well as construction. So, so good news that it's moving forward. And again, this really needed to be done for a few years now.
What's working on right now?
So, we talked briefly about shrimping, and the bill that we had a markup session on last week, we ended up negotiating 6 different amendments into that bill, looking at everything from how you manage forage fish, this big fight that's going on with menhaden or pogies. We have provisions in there making sure that red snapper continues to be properly managed in a way that's state-based and doesn't adversely affect the management in state and federal waters in Louisiana. We just had a huge bill pass the House. It totally reforms the way disaster recovery is done. You and I have talked about this over and over again, and brings in an entirely new state-based program to do disaster recovery instead of this ridiculous Restore Louisiana program that can't seem to get funds out the door between the state and federal agencies, just leaving people victimized for years, whether it's the Hurricane Laura Delta Zeta victims, the Hurricane Ida victims, or even the 2016 flood victims. So, look, we've had a lot of good wins. Just last night, the Senate passed this bill that changes the way you do airport construction, incentivizing faster completion of projects. That's going to the president's desk. So we've had a lot of big wins recently, and pretty excited about trying to get some more things done before the end of the year.
And we will pick up the conversation there next week. Congressman Garret Graves, we call it DC Current. We always appreciate the time, sir.
Thanks, Brian. Take care.
You do the same. All right. So didn't want to have an inside joke there, and I'm glad I left 30 seconds on the back end for that. Dan Buryett's the former Secretary of Energy, cabinet member under President Trump. He is originally from Pankerville, although Congressman Graves debates that he's from Napoleonville, which honestly, it depends on what side of the street you're on. So it's been kind of a running joke between the two of us that every time he mentions Pankerville, I get to mention Dan Burjett, and he gets to call me fake news. So that was the laughter there. We got a break. We got Your Money Now coming your way. We'll check traffic. After that, we'll step outside of East Baton Rouge Parish for the Outside In, coming up next on Talk 107.3. He wasn't ready for that one. Got him. He said you talk to Chip Klein. I need an excuse to talk to Chip Klein now? Oh, man. Where are we at, YouTube? What's going on? What's good? What have I missed out on over here? Oh, holy hell. About 13 texts. That's what I've missed out on. Awesome. I'm pissing people off, apparently. There we go. All right. Come on, come on. Come on, come on. Right, you can't trawl in Maurepas because of the shrimp. Dragging a net and line to get shrimp. Storms, going back to the 2911 thing, which... Yeah. All right, then. Get after it. It's fun. The entire school board is a joke. Storm says the entire school board is a joke, but the superintendent is a reckless spender on a scale you cannot imagine and is personally responsible for the 200-plus current teaching vacancies. Now the media is reporting the fee owed the church for the event is $200 less than the $10,000 required for school board approval. The school system knew what they were doing. So, and this is why I can't help but ask the question of how did this ministry... How did this academy get in front of the school system in the first place? Like, what landed them there in the first place? Because that person, whoever said, hey, y'all should come in and pitch to the school. Oh, wait, whoa. No, if we knock it down by $200, you don't have to pitch at all. Like, someone signed off on this, and what is possible to be found is that they'll have a connection to this ministry on the back end. That's from Hester and that's from Flestering. Oh, done anything but Zealand. Roy brings it all together. $7:55, Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP. Mornings with Brian Haldane rolling right along. Hour 2 coming to a close shortly as we will meet CBS News here in less than 5 minutes. Thanks again to Congressman Graves for hopping on board for DC Current. Hey, we're going to step outside of East Baton Rouge Parish for the Outside In just a second. I do have to remind you about the folks over at St. James Place. You know where to find them. They're on Lee at Highland Road, but who should be looking for them? That's the better question. Well, if you're approaching retirement, give them a call at 215-4500. Of course, 225-215-4500. Or check out their website, stjamesplace.org. They've got a lot of really great things going on over at St. James Place. And here's the thing. If you're approaching retirement, you're in that number. You might think, oh, I don't need a nursing home. That's great because they're an all-inclusive life plan community. Not just a nursing home. They'll have nursing care there when you need it. But get in ahead of time and make the most of all the amenities they have over at St. James Place. But I'm not a millionaire. That doesn't matter. You don't have to be a millionaire to get in. They have programs that make it a lot more affordable than you might think. If you are approaching retirement, at least give them a look. St. James Place. Live life well. Time for the Outside In. Let's go.
It's time to step outside of East Baton Rouge and get inside our surrounding parishes. Time for me to be hitting the Outside In, presented by BRPT Lake. With 6 locations and extended hours to fit your needs, BRPT Lake has got you covered. Schedule online now at brptlake.com. The Outside In is coming your way now.
Stone over.
We have got more stories than we're possibly going to be able to cover today, so let's narrow this down. Just like yesterday, we'll start off in West Baton Rouge Parish. An inmate out on work release reportedly hopped a fence and escaped from the West Baton Rouge jail one Monday night. Not to worry, work release isn't for violent criminals, right? Keandre Shepard, 22 years old, was out on work release when he hopped the fence, escaped, according to West Baton Rouge Sheriff Mike Kaz. Shepard was arrested in 2018 on armed robbery and attempted murder charges. As of Tuesday, he had not been recaptured. U.S. Marshals were reportedly assisting the West Baton Rouge Sheriff's Office in the search. Yeah, armed robbery and attempted murder. Heading down to St. Tammany Parish, a former correctional center employee was fired and arrested Tuesday for sneaking drugs into the jail and selling them to inmates. Hashtag side hustle. According to the sheriff's office, 20-year-old Jason Allen Jr. had been working at the correctional center since February of this year. Deputies said when Allen was arrested, they found marijuana, Suboxone, cocaine, and a firearm in his vehicle. He was booked into the correctional center, where he formerly worked, for 2 counts of possession to distribute Schedule 1 and 1 count each of possession with intent to distribute Schedule 2, possession with intent to distribute Schedule 3 narcotics as well. Next stop, Point Capee Parish. School officials announced Tuesday morning that a weapon had been found in an elementary school student's backpack. Rougeon Elementary was not shut down. Officials said the student wasn't aware the weapon was even there. I mean, okay. The statement from the school board said this morning a weapon was discovered in a student's backpack at Rougeon's campus. The student had no knowledge that the weapon was in the backpack. School administrators and law enforcement worked promptly and professionally to secure the safety of all students and faculty of the school. At no time were any of the students in any real danger. The weapon was discovered by a teacher when the young student arrived from carpool, and instruction was never even interrupted. Currently, all students were in class at the time of the statement. All students were learning. That's presumptive. Closing out in Ascension Parish. $1 million winning Powerball ticket was sold at a Geismar gas station, according to the Louisiana Lottery. The ticket was sold at the racetrack on Highway 73 for the drawing over, I believe, last weekend. The identity of the winner is unknown. That winner has until late March to claim their prize. That is the outside in. We are due up to hit CBS News here at the top of the hour. Ooh, got to remind you, Live After 5 coming your way this Friday. I believe the Michael Foster Project's on stage this week. Hunt Palmer, Jeremy Hill will be handling MC duties. And Live After 5 could be presented by Great Hearts Harvesting this week. Check them out. You know where to find Live After 5 in Town Square, downtown, up North Boulevard. Let's get you to CBS News here on Talk 107.3 FM. I didn't have enough time to do that whole live read, so I'm going to do it later. You do? Concrete jungle where dreams are made of. There's nothing you can't do. Bruh, this 2911 thing is about to go down. This is like crazy, yo. Why would you align yourself from a public school with a ministry that's named after a Bible verse? Oh, because no, that's not a Bible verse. 2911 is like more than 24/7. I just don't go 24/7. I go 29:11. That's how I roll. No rest. Never lost. I'm having a lot of trouble finding their status. 2911. Like, are they a 501c3? I don't think so. But nowhere on their site does it. Here we go. There's their EIN number. I can get it from the EIN number. No, I'm just talking out loud, thinking out loud. Haha. They are a 501c3. Tremaine Sterling. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Curious. .501c3 listed as youth development. Tremaine Sterling heads it up. 6555 Marydale is their address. Huh. Huh. Marydale. Isn't that residential? Hmm. Yep, that's kind of where I'm at, Byron. And I wasn't on the. I went to the 501c3 lookup site, just assuming that's what they were. And I've got Tremaine Sterling. You've got more information than I do. I don't have Nikita Sterling or Arion Davison. Oh crap! I might need to get ready for the next segment because otherwise, how else can I give Alondra hell? This. Oh. This is your latest Chavez traffic report. Time for us to get a look at your forecast. Here is WBRZ meteorologist Marissa Nuzzo. Mm-hmm. 806, Talk 103 FM, WBRP. Mornings with Brian Haldane rolling right along. Hour 3 coming your way right now. Brian here with you. Alondra producing. Been a busy show thus far, and will continue to be that as we move into the third hour, not taking our foot off the gas anytime soon. Hey, last Thursday at 10 o'clock in the morning, there was a press conference over on 5909 Florida Boulevard as ground was broken on a new Rouse's. And it was touted. And if you go to Talk 1073's Instagram, I put up a reel about it. It's good news. It's definitely good news. But they're talking about addressing the food desert situation in North Baton Rouge. And standing there at the corner of Florida and North Ardenwood, if I'm facing Florida Boulevard from the north side, if I look to the east, I can't see all the way over there, but there's 2 grocery stores within 2 miles. If I'd look to the west, I'd find 2 more grocery stores within 1 mile. Don't know that. Obviously, adding a Rouse's is great news, but I don't know if it's doing anything to address the food desert. More importantly, it's the symbolism of why do we have this imaginary border wall built around or along Florida Boulevard? That separation of what is, quote, North Baton Rouge and, quote, South Baton Rouge. Is there a way to just erase that and just, cross the street? We're going to talk about that and a number of other things that the North Baton Rouge Economic Development District has going on with April Hawthorne in our next segment. We're also going to talk a little brew at the zoo with Robyn Lott before we get out of here. We're going to get you to this day in history in just a moment, but I do need to remind you about the folks over at Hawthorne's Market. Okay, so away game this weekend. I don't need to tell you about them being your tailgate headquarters, but an away game could very well mean that you're entertaining at the house, a little backyard tailgating, if you will. Well, Hawthorne's is still your tailgate headquarters, only this time, if you want to swing by and stock up on craft beer, they've got the best selection in town. Nobody's going to outpace their craft beer selection, and more importantly, nobody's going to outpace the recommendations that you get. If you're new to the craft beer game, if you're a novice to the craft beer game and just want to give things a try, ask for a recommendation. Ask Tony for a recommendation. He has never steered me wrong and won't steer you wrong either. Oh, by the way, full-service grocery store every other day of the week. Oh, by the way, right there on campus, the Nicholson Gateway Shopping Center right across the street from Tiger Stadium. Of course, they got the downtown location as well, been a staple in downtown. Very quickly became a staple in downtown. You got Hawthorne's Market. Either location is here for you all week long. All right, time for This Day in History. Let's get it.
Marty, you've got to come back with me. Where? A long, long time ago. Who's coming with me? We have to go back, Kate. We have to go back.
Say, kids, what time is it?
This day in history.
Ooh, what do you got, Alondra? Good stuff.
Yeah, man. Hump day. Woo, 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 woo.
Are we back on this now? Are we back on this now?
On it. I do it every Wednesday.
No, it's not our bit. It's not our bit. The bit belongs to Matt.
I'm not doing a bit. If it's hump day, it's hump day. I didn't make up the days of the week.
Mm-hmm. All right.
Anyways, it's
hump day.
1481.
Yeah.
An American and 7,000 French troops begin the siege of Yorktown.
Wow.
The beginning of the end of the Revolutionary War.
Siege of Yorktown.
Yep.
That would be between now and October 19th is when that went on.
Yes.
Eventually leading to the British surrender by General Lord Cornwallis.
That's a terrible last name.
Nope. Cornwallis. That's my bad. That's my bad.
Okay.
General Cornwallis is something completely different.
And 6 years later, in 1787, Congress sends the Constitution to state legislators for their approval.
State legislators said, "New phone, who dis?"
Yeah. In 1920, a Chicago grand jury indicts 8 members of the Chicago White Sox on charges of fixing the 1919 World Series.
The Black Sox scandal.
Yeah.
Man Out, starring John Cusack. Underrated film in the 80s.
Chick Gandil, Buck Weaver, Happy these are like the most insane names.
Read them. They're awesome.
Buck Weaver, Happy Felsch, Swede Risberg, Fred McMullen, Eddie Cicotte, Lefty Williams, and Shoeless Joe Jackson. Everybody knows that. But these Chick Gandil, Buck Weaver. Dude, these are crazy names.
Yeah, they are.
Why don't we name kids that anymore? We just name them weird stuff like
my son is Shoeless
Brentley.
Shoeless James Haldane.
His first name's Shoeless, middle name's James.
Yep. That's how we roll. That's how we roll.
Into it.
Yeah.
In 1941, the last day of the MLB regular season, Ted Williams gets 6 hits and 8 at-bats during a doubleheader in Philly, boosting his average to 406.
Nice.
He becomes the first player since 1930 to hit 400, and no one has done that since then. No one's hit 400 since 1941.
Toyed with a little bit, but never eclipsed.
No.
And I don't think it ever will be eclipsed.
It might be.
How would you like to be that middle reliever that got Ted Williams out?
Yeah, right.
Starting like, what's up now, bro? Come at me, bro.
You and your
I got Ted
406
Williams
batting
out.
average.
Ooh. You.
In 1944, Theodore Roosevelt Jr., the son of the president, Teddy Roosevelt, is posthumously awarded the Medal of Honor for directing troops at Utah Beach during the D-Day landings.
Awesome.
Yeah, in 1976, Muhammad Ali beats Ken Norton in 15 for the heavyweight boxing title.
Yeah. Hey, this day in 1542.
Yeah.
Yeah. Juan Rodriguez Cabrillo discovered California.
Yeah, he did.
Yep. I like that.
Yeah.
Hey, what's that over there?
Dude, that's California.
But like, if you're the first one there, it's,
Can you tell?
hey, what's that over there?
How can you tell that's California?
The Hollywood
The
sign.
smog in the air.
Yeah.
Homeless people on the beach.
Yes.
Born on this day in 551 BC, Confucius was born on this day. Happy birthday to Confucius. Sharing a birthday with Ed Sullivan.
Oh.
He was born in 1901. In 1919, Tom Harmon, Hall of Fame halfback. He played for Michigan and the Rams. In 1934, Bridget Bardot. And in 1987, Hillary Duff.
Yeah.
This is what dreams are made
I got
of.
Naomi Watts on my list.
Yeah, Naomi Watts
and,
also.
And young Jeezy.
Jeezy
is 45 now. I think we could drop the young.
Yeah, that's old Jeezy.
That's just middle-aged
That's
Jeezy.
middle-aged, yeah.
45.
It's middle
I'm
age.
45. Don't call it 45 old.
I'm sorry. It's
Yeah.
middle-aged Jeezy.
Bruh.
Middle-aged
I
Brian.
gotta do that. I don't even like the term middle age.
Are you about to go through a midlife? What do you think Brian's midlife crisis is going to be
I
like?
think I already had mine.
And what did you do?
Running late.
Okay, sorry.
We can talk about it off here.
Died on this day in 48 BC, Pompey the Great, killed on orders of King Ptolemy from Egypt.
But you said Ed Sullivan. Did you have Ed Sullivan's birthday?
I said Ed Sullivan. I said he shared a birthday with Confucius.
That's right.
You pay attention, Brian. In 1895, Louis Pasteur died.
Yeah.
In 1953, astronomer Edwin Hubble.
How about 1891? Herman Melville.
I don't know who that is.
Okay. 1991, Miles Davis.
Yeah, sounds familiar. I just need yeah. It's National Drink Beer Day.
Darn right it is.
Whoop whoop. I'll do that
All
later.
right. You know where to get your beer at.
Thurns.
Yeah, that's right. All right, we're running late for break. When we come back, let's talk with the North Baton Rouge Economic Development District. April Hawthorne's up next. I am winded. Why am I so winded today?
It's been like a fast-paced show. Like,
So,
it's flown by.
yeah, I've been told I missed my window for a midlife crisis, so I'm not going to have
No,
one.
you can still do it. I think like 45 to like 52, that's a midlife crisis.
Okay, but I'm not living to 90. I'm past the mid of my life.
I'm just saying you can.
And honestly, everything I do is mid anyway, so I know. And then I'm old. I'm old, but I don't accept that.
I'm just saying.
Ferdinand Marcos died today too, in 1989. Can you make sure that's her, please? Son of a biscuit. What? Oh. Yeah. Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP. Hour 3 mornings with Brian Haldane rolling right along. All right, time to check in with the Baton Rouge North Economic Development District. April Hawthorne joins us now. April, good morning. Welcome to Talk 107.3. How are you?
Good morning, Brian. Thank you for having me on this morning.
No, very glad to have you on. So, press conference last Thursday morning, and then the news cycle very promptly moved on, and for very important reasons. But I didn't want to get too far removed from the Rouse's announcement without making mention of what Baton Rouge North Economic Development District's got going on. So let's start with the story about the new grocery store. What level of importance do you put on Rouse's making this investment?
Well, the Baton Rouge North Economic Development District is very excited to partner with the city, Rouse's, and the Baton Rouge Area Chamber in this project and making sure it comes to fruition. We know that when we have a anchor institution like a grocery store, and when you look down towards Florida Boulevard, you have the Cortana. I mean, all of those anchors play a part in a multiplier effect as it relates to increasing property values, commercial real estate, and also bringing jobs into the community. So we're excited about this partnership, and we're glad that it's serving a need and providing healthy food choices in the community.
So, okay, I'm glad you brought up healthy food choices without saying that term that I think is overused, food desert. We can get into that, but the mayor made mention of addressing the food desert with this store. There's more than 4 grocery stores within a 3-mile radius of where the store is going in. I don't think addressing the food desert was the big news of Rouse's announcement. I think it's blurring the line that Florida Boulevard needs to not be a border wall is the bigger, to me, that's the bigger takeaway. In between Rouse's and, like you said, Cortana, Amazon, I don't know how we got this far down the road with that, like I said, a perceived barrier between the two, the separation between North and South Baton Rouge. It's a street. I've never understood it the entire time I've been in this city.
But moving forward, it's a positive, and now we can start to change, and we still have to promote those other grocery stores that are within that 3-mile radius as well.
No, absolutely. All right, so you mentioned you mentioned the term anchor store, which I think got overlooked last Thursday as well, because when you see a major grocery chain open up, you do see surrounding businesses pop up, a little strip shopping center along the side and whatnot. What's being done from the Baton Rouge North Economic Development District's standpoint to help capitalize on this momentum, capitalize on this announcement?
Well, last year we had started promoting our signature program, which is the Facade and Signage Improvement Program. And I will have to say that we have already completed 30 projects within our district. Our district is huge. It's over a 26-mile radius. Mm-hmm. So I'm excited that we can, clap our hands for that success. And I would like to say that if there are any businesses along, Florida Boulevard all the way down to North Sherwood Forest, everything on the north side of Florida Boulevard, they can apply for our Facade and Signage Improvement Program. We are opening back up our applications. It is a matching grant that is designed to enhance the facades and fronts of a building. So if you wanted to, improve, you want to put a new sign up, if you wanted to, do the lighting, security system, those are some things that the program will do a matching grant for. Is nothing on the interior, but only the exterior. And it's a 50-50 grant, so it's up to $5,000. And if you are a property owner, non-residential, you may apply. You can go to BRNED, www.brnedd.com/facade grant, and submit your application.
We're talking with April Hawthorne, Executive Director of the Baton Rouge North Economic Development District. April, so yeah, on the website, I got to see what was the, there's one featured, Bayou Cafe, which is a great example of the facade and signage and everything improvement there. And all the pertinent documents are available there as well. But taking care of, facade and signage and whatnot, it feels like one aspect can help propel another aspect. What does the Baton Rouge North Economic Development District, how do y'all balance nurturing existing business versus recruiting new business?
Well, development for this district, we are definitely partnering with our other organizations. Like we do partner with BRAC, we do partner with the North Metropolitan Black Chamber and the North Baton Rouge Chamber as it relates to business development. We provide also educational seminars for businesses and entrepreneurs as well. In the past we've hosted like several events in a partnership with LED as it relates to their small business program and providing, access to other funding through our state agencies and through our city and the banks, and having access to capital.
April, tell me a little. Let's back things up a little bit just to talk about the development district as a whole. How did this get started? How did y'all come up with the outline of what this 26-mile radius was going to be? How did we get to where we're at now?
The district was created. It's a political subdivision of the state, and it was created 2017 by legislation presented by Senator Regina A. Barrow, as well as at the time it was Senator Broom as well. They both created this legislation as a way to enhance and provide an opportunity for businesses to be able to get incentives in the district, and then specifically for North Baton Rouge area.
How did we come up with the borders? How did we come up with the outline for it?
Well, to my understanding, for the borders, it was because initially the district had started out as the Greenwell Springs Economic Development District. And then it was expanded, and then it developed into the North Baton Rouge Economic Development District. So I don't have all the specific details on how the particular borders and, who made the decisions on this is where we're going to be. But I can tell you it started out with the Greenwell Springs Economic Development District, and it was decided to expand it to cover a more larger area because some businesses felt they were not going to be included.
Well, so I asked for a very specific reason. That's because North Baton Rouge gets painted with a very, very large brush, or a very, very wide brush. So narrowing down within that, I feel would present different challenges. How have y'all responded to those challenges in, when you look at North Baton Rouge, you look at everything north of Florida Boulevard, but y'all have a very specific, map that you serve.
Absolutely. When I started in this role, I looked at our strategic plan, and I looked at our maps, and I looked at all of our appointing authorities, and I said, wow, you right around the district is very huge. Mm-hmm. And so we are in the process of approving or redeveloping our strategic plan that should come out maybe by the end of the year. But that has been a work in progress, as well as coming up with a focus target area that also has sub-target areas. So that is the goal for the next year, and so that we are able to cover, because you could be all over the place with this district. As you can see, if you look on our website, you'll see that our facade and signage, where we have been able to assist businesses all over, so it's sprinkled everywhere. but in implementing it, we just wanted to assist businesses. So now we want to get into a place to where we are able to see a major impact immediately by focusing on a particular target area and working that target area.
We've got target area. Do we have target industries as well?
Target industries. Yes, we do have target industries. When we're going to look at the target areas, we definitely have to make some more assessments, because then you have to get down more granular as it relates, because you can't just throw a larger brush and say, oh, this fits for this area. This let's say restaurant area fits for this. You have to be more specific. So it's going to take some research when we get down to the target areas and focus plan and do an assessment. And I think some work has been done. For example, in Scotlandville, recently, which came out, was the Scotlandville a strategic plan that was implemented by Southern University and CPEC. So we do have something to work off of to start when we're talking about certain industries and what we're doing in those areas. But
so I guess the hard part there would be while you would have industries you're targeting, not wanting to say no because you might have something come at you that was unexpected.
True.
So the website, by the way, I was on it last night, and I'm actually on it right now. You've got your available sites out there as well. Are we taking like each site with its own intentionality, or as opposed to just covering it with a broad brush?
Each site on the buildings and site on the website, we are looking at those as available sites if anyone is coming into the district and looking to do any type of development.
The exact same way the Baton Rouge area chamber would, correct?
Absolutely.
The website is brnedd.com if you wanted to check it out. April Hawthorne is the executive director. It was big news last week. We're looking forward to the next big news in the future. Thank you so much for a couple minutes of your time this morning.
Anytime. Thank you.
Thank you. So yes, the Rouse's announcement last week, I think it kind of, I don't want to say it got pushed down the headlines because 2 hours after that announcement, the chief of police said we have 8 gangs active in Baton Rouge. So naturally, that's going to move up the charts a little bit. But every time there is a good piece of news that comes from North Boulevard, that imaginary border wall that we have, every time a piece of good news comes out, it's worth sharing. So I appreciate Ms. Hawthorne's time. We got a break. Coming back, talking with Robyn Lott from the zoo next. Like, sorry. Paul says, please tell me my tax dollars don't pay for this crap. I don't know what pays for the Baton Rouge North Economic Development District. About us. If it comes from anywhere, it comes from property taxes. If there's any government funding, it comes from property taxes. So, well. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not seeing another website. Excuse me. I'm not seeing where their funding comes from on their website, which is probably problematic. Mental health expert shares tips on hurricane anxiety in kids.
I had a very traumatic experience at the gym yesterday.
Yeah?
It was a rough day in the gym, very traumatic.
What happened?
just was hard. It was a hard day. My legs were tired. It's very traumatic.
It really downplays or
Real trauma.
Yeah, it's shitty.
Yeah.
That
I was listening to this podcast and it had Robert O'Neill was in it.
Who?
Robert O'Neill, the Navy SEAL that killed Osama bin Laden.
Oh, cool.
He was in it, and he was saying how like when he was in the Navy SEALs that like they would have like a special operations this, special operations that, special ops this, and it's like if everything's special, then nothing's special.
True. It's true. That's well, if everything's racist, then nothing's racist.
Exactly.
If everything's sexist, then nothing is sexist. Oh God, my legs. So I told you I took it light at the gym on Monday with the legs, and my knee felt fine Tuesday morning. So I went heavy yesterday, and I did not realize just how bad that was going to be.
Yeah, I did legs yesterday. It was pretty rough.
Sets at 5, 315 pounds.
My leg day was traumatic.
Monday's leg workouts. So I went and lifted with my wife on Monday.
Nice.
And she does
Power couple.
The little machine. And you know the machine that like where you're like separating your
Like the
legs
hip
out?
abductor?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did those. So I shouldn't have done those on Monday, followed by squats on Tuesday.
Definitely not.
No, that was a dumb move on my part, and I'm paying for it today. Interesting. The Baton Rouge Zoo is not in the Baton Rouge North Economic Development District. By the way, kudos. I need like serious pats on the back for not bringing up the old acronym. Yeah.
So you said North Baton Rouge what just came out of my mouth? Economic development. I said economic development district, and I wrote down inbred. Like I put NBREDD, and then you corrected yourself. You said Baton Rouge North, and I was like, oh.
Yep.
I forgot about that inbred thing. It was unfortunate.
It doesn't. So the zoo's not in there. It doesn't look like the airport's in there either.
No, because white people use the airport and the zoo.
It's just.
Hotel tax money from hotels, and it's North Baton Rouge boundaries per the advocate. Since 2017, the Baton Rouge North Economic Development District receives hotel tax money.
That's interesting. Because I don't think there's a single hotel. There's a Best Western.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Bo. Had to put what?
Kodak, I meant.
The jack
down here.
We couldn't get audio. I mean, it was getting audio.
Yeah.
We received the audio.
Okay.
That murder is ridiculous.
Which one?
Hotline. All right, we're about to
Which one?
Father of daughter.
Come to you.
Oh, Allie Rice?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So
I texted my dad,
one of the guys in our club used to be.
but I wanted to move back to Texas.
They eliminated that whole department 2 years ago.
Oh wait, we're about to have to do weather. Hold on.
But there's reason why. Hang on.
Yeah, results.
No. No. Yeah. All right, time to get a look at your forecast as today is stacking up to be absolutely gorgeous over here. High of 85 today with an overnight low of 54. Tomorrow we top out at just 79 with an overnight low of 53. Creeping back up a little bit as we move into the weekend. Friday 82, Saturday 83, Sunday we're back up to 87 degrees. Right now, and no chance of rain in our local forecast over the next week or so. Right now we're at 68 degrees in downtown Baton Rouge. Humidity chiming in at 46%. You think you're being clever over there. Well, I'm just moving on. Just moving on. We got things to cover here. We got news, we got events. We got it all going on. Mornings with Brian Haldane rolling right along. Time to welcome in from the Baton Rouge Zoo, Robyn Lott. Robyn, good morning. Welcome back. How are you?
Good morning. I'm good. How about you?
Doing very well. Glad to get you back on here because we are narrowing in on Brew at the Zoo. And I wanted to just take an opportunity to remind folks about the event, about what's still available, and about how they can participate.
Yes. So Brew at the Zoo is certainly a tradition, a fall tradition in Baton Rouge for beer lovers. This is our 8th year. It's going to be taking place next Friday night. So we're thrilled for this better weather. Hopefully it sticks around a little bit longer. Tickets are still available. So we have designated driver tickets, a limited number of those if somebody wants to come, but wants to come with their friends and maybe not imbibe throughout the night. And then we've also got general admission tickets, and we do still have a few VIP tickets available.
There are a few VIP tickets available.
Yes, a few.
Oh, wow. See, those go fast, and that is surprising news. So if you were thinking about going, go ahead and upgrade and hit up the VIP tickets for sure. What comes with the VIP ticket?
So the biggest plus is that you are able to enter the zoo 1 hour before everyone else. So as you can imagine, we have hundreds of craft beers, as well as a lot of tastings from our area eateries. And so folks who've been before and they kind of are veterans of Brew at the Zoo, they know that getting there 1 hour before the crowds really pays off in terms of getting to sample everything that you wanted before any of the lines filled up.
And as for the general admission tickets, basically the same thing applies just an hour later, right?
Exactly. And then, of course, our VIPs also get some really cool, like a goodie bag when they leave with a commemorative glass that they can keep and remember the event from. So it's a ton of fun no matter what kind of ticket that you get. We are super excited to be bringing back a party atmosphere this year. A few years back when the pandemic hit, we did have to kind of change the footprint and spread folks out a little more. But this year we're going back to our original footprint where we will have entertainment in our pavilion area. And so it does kind of lend itself to feeling a little bit more like a spirited party. And so we're thrilled about that.
We're talking with Robyn Lott from the Baton Rouge Zoo about the upcoming Brew at the Zoo on October 7th. What's the entertainment?
So we actually have Abby Lee, who will be opening up for us, and then Michael Brandt. Yes, yours.
Oh, nice. All right.
And then we also have Michael Brandt. He typically performs for us every year. So Abby will be opening, and Michael will be closing.
Very cool stuff. brzubrew.org is the website. A couple of questions that go around with this, along with this. Construction's underway right now. How do these two things go together? Are you separated from the construction? Are you going to be able to get sneak peeks at what's to come?
You definitely won't be around a ton of construction. I mean, we figure alcohol and construction zones in the dark is probably not a great combination. But we definitely do have a lot of zoo that is certainly under that reinvention component. So we are having most of the event in the areas where the construction is not taking place. So you might see a few cones and some fencing, but the bulk of the area where we'll be hosting the event is going to feel relatively untouched.
So we're trying to avoid a literal hold my beer situation.
Just thinking that might be a good idea.
Yeah, probably so. The animals' involvement. Let's talk about that.
So we have ambassador animals that come out every year and interact with the public. So these are the same animals that go out to the schools and do the Zoomobile programs out in the community with our education staff. And so there will be a myriad of those that will be rotating throughout the night. So you'll be able to see them up close, get to hear cool factoids about them. Sometimes you even get to give them a little touch. So anybody who loves animals will get that opportunity as well.
We're talking with Robyn Lott from the Baton Rouge Zoo about Brew at the Zoo. brzubrew.org is the website. Also, are T-shirts still available?
We do have some T-shirts available. You know, every year we put a different design out. So this year's design does not disappoint. I think some folks will really like it. It's different and colorful, and we do have some of those left as well. So you can purchase those in advance and pick them up at the event. And then if we have any left, we will sell them on site during the event, but the price does go up.
I do need to note, and this is an important clarification. I mean, the zoo is probably the most family-friendly place in Baton Rouge, but this is an adults-only event, correct?
Yes, absolutely. 21 and older only, and that no children are allowed, even babies and strollers. Unfortunately, we just want to follow all the rules. This is kind of like trick-or-treating after dark for the adults. So we try to remind everybody that just make this a date night, a girls' night out. Make it whatever you want as an adult, but it is not for children.
Well, there will be an event for children not too long after. Is it too soon to start talking about Boo?
Yes, no, it's never too early to start talking about Boo.
Details then.
Yeah, so Boo at the Zoo is the trick-or-treating event for children and families, and that's coming up October 22nd, 23rd, 29th, and 30th. And so we will be sticking with that new format that we did a few years ago during the COVID timeframe, where we are pre-stuffing the treat bags, and the children are able to get those at the end of their experience. That was a huge hit with parents, and we're going to stick with that format again.
Yeah, it worked out well. I can attest to that personally. So Boo at the Zoo, we'll have you back on to talk about that one exclusively. That has become a Baton Rouge absolute staple in Baton Rouge, and Brew is on its way now with the 8th annual. Robyn, while we got you here, what else is going on right now at the zoo? What do we need to know about?
Well, as you mentioned with construction, that's probably the biggest thing that we have going on. We are well into phase one of construction with our reinvention. And so if anyone has been to the zoo lately, you have not missed it. We have buildings that are being demoed. We have new construction with some of our new exhibits that are going up. And we are very, very hopeful, fingers crossed, that we will be able to open one of our new exhibits before the end of this year. So as soon as we have full clarity and confirmation on that, we will be singing it from the rooftops.
Got to go back before I let you go. Got to go back to the ambassador animals real quick. Okay, I got a message asking what animals are ambassadors.
Yes, you make promises that all of these will make their way, but we have things like owls, snakes, tenric, armadillos. So it could be a variety. It's more of the smaller handheld type animals that will be there. You will not be able to pet a tiger, but we will have some of the other ones.
Again, avoiding the hold my beer situation. BRZooBrew.org is the website, BRZooBrew.org. Coming up on October 7th will be the 8th annual Brew at the Zoo. Couple VIP tickets still left available, and get on those while you still can. Robyn, I appreciate the time this morning. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Absolutely. We'll talk to you soon. Yeah, hop on that. Like, that is a rarity. Normally those go super duper fast. So, and by the way, once the VIP tickets are gone, which I'm sure they're going to be gone in short order, once they're gone, the general admission tickets are awesome too. At the VIP gets you the swag bag and all that other good stuff. But Brew at the Zoo has very quickly turned into a top-notch event. And we have a zoo to be proud of. I know I brag on it probably more often than I should, but we have a zoo that we can be proud of here in Baton Rouge. Every event they put on, whether that be Boo at the Zoo, whether that be Brew at the Zoo, whether that be the race they do, the almost 5K. And just year round, there's always good excuses to go out there. By the way, Robyn mentioned she's hoping the weather is still good by next Friday, which is when Brew is coming up. High of 88, overnight low of 62. So if you're running that down, and nobody's going to look like an hour by hour forecast, but if you're working on that scale when Brew at the Zoo starts at 6 p.m., we'll probably be in the mid 80s, probably about 84, 85 degrees. So that is remember that movie Men at Work with Charlie Sheen and Emilio Estevez? Of course you don't. Nobody does. But they had the line, the air is just right for drinking. And that's what's going to be going on next Friday. All right. We're not done here by any stretch of the imagination. We've got a lot more ground to cover. I do need to pause for just a second to remind you about the folks over at Complete Collision Center. 2 locations, one on Plank Road in Zachary, the other on Perkins, just east of Bluebonnet, right here in Baton Rouge. Doug and his team at Complete Collision Center, they put a lot of emphasis on making sure they have the proper know-how to get you back on the road safely. Not just quickly, safely. They've been able to manage through the supply chain issues. They've been able to manage through the labor shortage issues while maintaining that level of excellence that gets them the ICAR Gold Class status every year. puts them in the top 15% of body shops nationwide when it comes to repair techniques, when it comes to training, when it comes to knowing all the updates about all the safety features that your car has. And your car has tons of them. Crumple zones, redundancies, the like. They know how to make sure things are fixed to where it's not just looking pretty, it's actually getting you back on the road safely. 768-9898 is the phone number, 768-9898, or check them out online at CompleteCollision.com. Don't let who you choose to repair your vehicle be your second accident. Check out Complete Collision Center. All right, we got about 90 seconds before break, so let me, almost forgot about this. Give me 1 second here. Coming up tomorrow on the show, we're going to have lawyer Scott Turo is going to be with us. I actually recorded this interview yesterday, and when the thing about the field trip really started to blow up, I just kind of ran out of room in today's show. But he's a New York Times bestselling author. He wrote Presumed Innocent. Y'all remember when Presumed Innocent was a movie like in the early 90s? Presumed Innocent is coming back as a TV show, and it's also going to be his new book, Suspect, is coming back as a TV show as well. It's kind of not a murder mystery, but it's a law enforcement mystery with a serious legal and sexual harassment twist to it. Fascinating stuff. Scott Turo going to be on with us tomorrow. We've got a stack of interviews coming your way throughout the rest of the week. All right, let's get you to Your Money Now. After Your Money Now, we're going to come back and close it out next. If you missed any part of today's show, going to be available on demand at talk1073.com. You do not want to miss the interview with Mary Patricia Wray. I wanted to expound on that here, but it was just kind of that in-between time. Did not have enough time to launch. So the interview with Mary Patricia Wray is going to be available at talk1073.com, as is all our content. Right now, here's Your Money Now. What? What could possibly go wrong? All right. Him says I asked the question so much better than he did. Sorry, I had YouTube closed at the moment, or I would have gotten to your question even sooner.
His job is to ask questions.
What?
Like, that's your job, to ask questions.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
His job's not asking questions, so yeah. You are going to be better at it than him.
Okay. Have you ever heard of Jet Tila? Tila? T-I-L-A. How would you pronounce T-I-L-A?
Tila.
You pronounce it Tila?
That's what I would say.
Yeah, me too. So I got an interview with him coming up.
Stuff.
I got an interview with him coming up at 9:30.
His name is Jet.
Jet. He's a chef.
I'm already into it. Oh, chef.
So you know how yesterday I was running down what Halloween interviews I actually want to do?
Yeah. This is the Halloween interview?
The Halloween Cookie Challenge. So we've had, who was the dude from Mean Girls? Jonathan Bennett was the host of that show not too long ago. His real name's Jonathan Bennett, yes.
But that's who you met, Aaron Samuels.
Aaron Samuels, yes. Yeah.
You know what we should do for Halloween? You know, like how on Ellen they used to send their producer through a haunted house by themselves and record it?
Yes.
We should do that for Halloween. A little Halloween special.
You want to do that?
Yeah.
Okay. I want to, I don't want to do a haunted house. I want to do something that's really haunted.
Yeah, something like for real.
The Myrtles or something.
But see, like...
Make you sleep in the basement downstairs?
Guaranteed. I would be down, but it's not guaranteed that, like, something's going to happen.
Here's what I know.
I'm going to get scared. Well, that's debatable. But, like, at one that's, like, allegedly haunted...
Yeah.
It's not guaranteed that something scary is going to happen to me.
I think ghosts know when they're at bat. It's like, hey guys, we're up. They're paying attention to this one.
But I feel like
let's drop a giant machete right next to her head.
But I feel like sometimes they're like you're trying too hard. You know?
Yeah.
If you try too hard to have a ghost, like you're not gonna have one. But I would like to do something like that. I think it'd be fun.
Okay, so if Burned, Baton Rouge North Economic Development District, gets their money from the hotel motel tax, then they need to refocus their efforts on businesses that are going to bring people to hotels.
Yeah.
Or they need to give at least some level of emphasis to that.
Yeah. Did you see that we just sent more money to Ukraine for their law enforcement?
And that hasn't happened yet, but it's going to.
We're short 900 officers. What was it, 900, right?
700 to 900.
Yeah.
Which means 900.
To Ukraine.
Yeah.
For their law enforcement. Very smart.
Why not? .856 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP. Spending the last break debating within my own head. Do I go serious here or do I just let loose and have some fun in the last segment?
You didn't ask me because you knew I'd say let loose.
I know. That's why I stayed in my own head. The Baton Rouge Alliance for Students announced the release of their Youth Voice Report Tuesday, culminating in the Baton Rouge Youth Voice Initiative that was launched earlier this year. The initiative was a collaborative project of the Mayor's Youth Advisory Council, Baton Rouge Alliance for Students in Safe, Hopeful, and Healthy BR. The project focused on elevating students' voices and identifying the highest areas of need in the community from a student's perspective through conducting a comprehensive listening series. The data through this initiative found that students' concerns mirror national trends, including a need for more quality educators and access to resources supporting mental health. Quote, we believe that an excellent education is every child's birthright and are committed to helping that become a reality, starting with listening to our most important stakeholders, the students. In the report, you'll find student-driven results. We encourage young people to show up as their authentic selves, to share their stories, hopes, and visions of how Baton Rouge can better prepare them for their futures. This, according to Adonica Duggan, the CEO of the Baton Rouge Alliance for Students. So they put the whole report together, and they hear back from students, and the top two concerns post-pandemic are a need for more quality educators and access to resources supporting mental health. I think there's a takeaway there in that you asked the students their opinion and they came back with very mature answers. So I'll tell you what, let's just take everybody out on a field trip for a recruiting day, career day, and bully you know what out of them and not give them lunch until they register to vote, even at 17 years old. I can't help but take that story and compare it to what we were talking about earlier. I can't help but take the story about asking the students what they want and then comparing it to what we actually give them. It might not be the most fair of comparisons, but there's something to be said when you ask students, what is it you really want from the school system? And then they turn around and that's not exactly what they get. I don't think we're done with this Day of Hope story or Day of Nope story yet. I don't think it's going away anytime soon. But that's where we're going to have to push pause for today. We'll pick it up at a later time. In the meanwhile, got to remind you about what's going on over at talk1073.com. Folds of Honor. We are still raising money right now. You can win tickets to go see Reba McEntire live in concert. All you have to do is make a donation to Folds of Honor at talk1073.com. Folds of Honor, if you don't know, they raise money to provide scholarships for fallen or injured service people and families of fallen or injured service people and families of fallen or injured first responders. Check it out at talk1073.com and make your donation today. That is going to do it for us. The Fox News Rundown's coming your way next. I'll be back at it right here on Talk 1073 tomorrow. Oh, my business. Oh, we got to go, YouTube. I will see y'all tomorrow. Later.